Good evening and welcome to our Smyrna Town Council meeting. We have a full house tonight and we are excited to see so many here. Tonight public comment is our first item. The town's public comment period shall be reserved for those citizens that have signed up to address the town council or a board or committee at least 24 hours in advance of the meeting pursuant to the town's public comment policy as outlined above on our agenda. Amber, do we have any public comment tonight?
No, ma'am.
Okay, then I will call our meeting to order, and tonight our prayer is going to be said by our chaplain from the Smyrna Police Department, Bob Horn, and our pledge is going to be done by Town Manager Dave Santucci. If you'll all stand with us, please.
Shall we pray? Heavenly Father, we're indeed thankful to be here and to be in thy presence this evening. We pray that you'd be here with her in this meeting, to be able to help guide and strengthen each one that's here. Be with each one in this community. May we strive to do the best that we can to live up to our neighbors and to those around us. We pray for those that lead us and be able to make the decisions that's best for everyone involved. Pray that you continue with us in all that we do. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Please face the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. You may be seated.
Thank you, Chaplain. Thanks, Dave. Miss Amber, if you'll do roll call, please.
Yes, ma'am. Councilman Dempsey?
Present.
Councilwoman Peoples?
Here.
Councilman Cole?
Yes, ma'am.
Councilman Short?
Here.
Councilman Sullivan?
Here.
Vice Mayor Atkins?
Here.
Mayor Reed?
Here. We'll move on to item 4A, which is approval or corrections of the minutes of the July 8th, 2025 regular meeting, the July 31st, 2025 joint workshop between the Town Council and the Planning Commission, and the July 31st, 2025 workshop meeting of the Town Council. Jeff, are these in order?
In order as to form, unless council has any amendments they'd like to make.
Okay. Council, any additions or corrections?
Move to approve the minutes, Mayor.
A motion to approve. Do we have a second?
Second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Minutes pass. Tonight we have two special presentations under awards and recognitions. And at this time, I'm going to call Jenny Davis up to talk a little bit about something special that we had take place in the town that we were really excited about. Jenny?
Good evening, Mayor and Council. I'd like to thank you for the opportunity to tell you about a special day we had in the Treasury Department with our new friends from Redstone Federal Credit Union. For those unaware, Redstone has 5 branches here in Tennessee with an operations center, and one of their newest branches opened just May 5th back out on Sam Radley Parkway. On July 15th, our Treasury and our Utilities Department partnered together with Redstone in their Acts of Brightness initiative. Several employees from Redstone Federal Credit Union worked side by side with our representatives to spread joy to our customers by offering to pay their utility bill. And thank you for your contribution to our community. So
I would also like to echo what Jenny said. You know, one of the things that we talked about when we came down for your ribbon cutting was partnership. And you all have stepped up and stepped out in doing that. I can only imagine how those individuals felt when you all were gracious enough to pay those bills. So we're excited that you all are going to be part of our Top Gun Night Run as well. So you all have jumped in feet first, and we're glad. So we were wondering if you all would be willing to do photo with council as well as your department. Jenny, I know you've got some here, so if y'all don't mind coming forward so Miss Heather can get a picture of everybody. Council will just stand and that way
Mayor, I want to know what day I can take my electric bill down there.
At this time, we have a presentation by our Sister City Committee. We are so excited that you all, it looked like from photographs that you all had a wonderful experience while you were there, had some.
With not a very detailed explanation. Scrapbooking went to school, sports activities, exercise activities, communication activities, the tour of Tokyo, Museum of Nature and Science, temples, street shopping, Tokyo Skytree, Camp Zama tour, the 100 Yen store, Japanese culture and calligraphy, Japanese culture and taboo collection, car collection, Japanese cultural yukata wearing, farewell party where the students gave a knockout presentation. Many of these things I have done before, but many new experiences this time. My best experience is watching the students grow together during their time together and see their faces change from uncertainty to smiles as
program, my expectations were to find a second family in Japan and make friends throughout the program. I had an amazing time in Japan, but some specific things I enjoyed were when we did the calligraphy activity and we wrote Japanese characters, and going to the school in Japan for our first 2 days there. But my favorite part of everything was getting to stay with my host family. But overall, the program was such an amazing experience, and it will affect my life going forward because of the connections I made, like the family that treated me like I was their own kid and the friends I made in the program. Thank you all for providing me with this opportunity.
Thank you. You did a good job.
And next, we have a couple of gifts to present, one to Mayor Reed and one to the city. So I'll call on,
Mark, before you do that, just for some that may be in the audience or some that may be watching on TV, can you talk a little bit about the program and a little bit how if somebody wants to be a student, they would go about doing that?
Sure. Well, the little program is it's basically a 3-year program where 1 year we go to Japan, 1 year Japan comes here, and on the 3rd year, we don't go anywhere, but we fundraise to help pay for the program, to reduce the cost for the families. You get involved by filling out an application. You can find the application on the town's website. Fill out the requirements for guidance counselor recommendations and stuff like that, and then you get reviewed, and then you can be invited into the program. But it's pretty simple, and I haven't seen anybody who was in the program that didn't like it.
Agree. It is probably one of the best programs I think that we have here in the town of Smyrna. But I also think it's one of those almost secrets because so many people don't realize what's going on and what they can be a part of. But it's not only about the students, it's also about the committee and the chaperones as well, because you all do an amazing job in helping to fundraise and making sure that these students have a wonderful experience. And we cannot say enough about everything that you all do as well to make this program a success.
Yeah, this was a record year for fundraising compared to the other ones, and it helped to reduce the cost per family out of their pocket down to $500
Wow.
for 2 weeks.
Wow. Okay, so we have some gifts from Japan.
We have some gifts from Japan, one
Great.
to Mayor Reed and one to the town of Smyrna.
Okay.
So I'll call Amy and Mary Ann.
Great.
I hope they brought you one of those kabuki masks.
The first gift is for the city of Smyrna, from the city of Japan. This is an octagonal clock crafted using Oseki Saku, a traditional Japanese marquetry technique. Oseki Saku involves combining various types of wood to create beautiful geometric patterns and has a long history, especially in Hakone region of Kanagawa Prefecture. The octagonal shape represents continued growth, symbolizing prosperity and harmony. The Yoseki patterns also express wishes for connection and harmony. The clock symbolizes the long-lasting friendship between Smyrna and Zama and expresses the hope for the future development of our relationship.
Absolutely. So, Mary Ann, I was going to ask, you've been on the committee for quite a while and been to Japan how many times?
5.
5 times, and you've been on the committee for how long?
Almost 20 years.
Almost 20 years. And this is what we see with so many of the ones that have been on the committee is their commitment to this program. So we know that you rolled off this time, but you only have to stay off a year and then you can come back on. So if there's an opening. So thank you so much for all that you've done.
Smile right here.
Thank you.
This is from Mayor Sotko to Mayor Reed. The items we give you this time are original Tamatridge crafts featuring a sunflower pattern, the official flower of Zama City. They include a mini tatami mat and a decorative tatami edge bag. Tatami is a traditional Japanese flooring material primarily used in Japanese-style rooms. Made mainly from woven igurusha, tatami has a pleasant natural scent and also helps regulate humidity in the room. This item, which is recommended product of Zama City, embodies the essence of the traditional Japanese culture. The name Smyrna has been carefully inscribed on the mini tatami mat, adding a special personal touch for Mayor Reed.
I'd like to have, is there anything presentation-wise? So I'd like to have all the students come forward as well as the chaperones as well. Don't be shy, because I know you're not shy. Come on forward. And if you'll just turn and face that way we can make sure we get you on TV. That's right. So, tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to let Heather get a picture first, and then I'll let council sit down, and then we'll kind of chat a little bit. How about that? Okay? And not one peace sign did I see come up, as many as I saw in those photos. That's right. That's right. So I'm going to give you an opportunity, one, to introduce yourself, tell us what school that you went to, and if you can keep it really short, if there's something that you really enjoyed, you can say that, but you don't have to. But I want to make sure that we find out who you all are.
I'm Amy Wise. I was a chaperone with the group.
I'm Ethan Anderson. I go to Smyrna Middle School, and my favorite thing in Japan was eating a cow tongue.
My name is Joseph Garrigus. I'm in 9th grade, and I just enjoyed Japan overall.
My name is Grayson Murray. I'm in 11th grade at Stewart's Creek High School, and I enjoyed my Johnny Cash performance.
My name is Cash Finnis. I'm a junior at Stewart's Creek High School, and I'm really glad that I joined this program.
My name's Gracie Wayne. I am a sophomore at Stewart's Creek High School, and I love the hangouts that we did all together after the day was over.
My name is Zoe Walker. I am a freshman at Stewart's Creek High School, and I love just spending time with my exchange family.
My name is Adelaide Creasy. I go to Smyrna High School. I'm a sophomore, and my favorite thing was probably getting to see my student again.
My name is Morgan Surratt. I'm a freshman at Stewart's Creek High School, and my favorite part about Japan was my June Carter performance.
It was pretty good, too. I'm Fran Dunn. I was a chaperone on the trip. This was my third time to Zama, and my favorite thing is my host family, because my host came to Smyrna in 1988 with Mikio Endo, and so there's just a long connection with the town of Smyrna with my host. She's my Japanese sister. I love the family just completely.
My name is Mark Michelson. I was a chaperone. This is my 8th trip, and my favorite thing this time was my fish pedicure.
My name is Shelby Sully. I came as a chaperone, and I'm a former student of the program. My favorite part was seeing my host family from 13 years ago.
Hey, I'm Trace Lee, and this was my first time to Zama. I went as a chaperone. Like many, my favorite thing was the time spent with our host family in the house and getting those experiences, along with seeing the friends that we made last year. Alongside that was seeing the relationships made and continued among all the students.
My name is Mary Ann Rogers. This was my 5th trip to Zama. One of my favorite things, of course, was seeing all the friends that I've made the last 20 years going to and from Zama. But the most special thing, I think, is this trip, I got to see all 4 of the students that my 2 girls hosted over 15, 18 years ago when they were teenagers. So that was especially a proud moment because I'm still their American mom.
I hope what each one of you can see is the lifelong memories that these students and these chaperones have built. But what I want you to look at is I want you to look at ambassadors up here, because each one of these individuals is not only an ambassador for the town of Smyrna, the state of Tennessee, but for the United States. And hopefully we can continue to build those relationships with not only Zama, but other places across the world. So thank you all so much for participating in our program. I cannot tell you how much we appreciate it. And also to you all that were chaperones and on the committee. And Bobby, come up here. You can come up here too. Who else is here? Melanie? That's okay. Melanie, come on. Y'all introduce yourselves too. Come on. Y'all put in time too. So y'all introduce yourselves as well.
Oh, goodness. Okay. Good evening. Bobby Ibera. I'm a member of the committee. Thank you so much, Mayor.
Melody Villalobos, also a committee member.
Yeah, Greg Creasy, new member of the committee.
So let's give them all a huge round of applause. Now, yes. Oh, Jerry, I forgot. The fearless leader. That's right. So Jerry Short is our council representative that is at almost every meeting, pretty much every meeting, and make sure everything gets taken care of. So, Jerry, thank you. I'm sorry. I am so sorry. I forgot. But thank you, Jerry. You all are welcome to stay for the entire meeting if you would like to do that. But if you and whoever came with you does not want to, you are more than welcome to go off and enjoy your night for the rest of the night. So I'll leave it up to you guys. Yes. Sure.
I've liked this excellent program. Thank you guys for taking your time and the families and just soak all this in and keep in touch with those people that you've made friends with. But one of the most interesting stories I heard from the trip was, and Fran told me about it, that Mark and them were getting a fish pedicure, and when Mark came into the pool or whatever, all the fish all of a sudden went to Mark's feet. So they were having a buffet on Mark's feet, and no one else got the fish pedicure.
Thank you. We want some. Yes.
I'd also like to recognize Lisa Winters. She's our town of Smyrna representative that she acts as secretary of the board, and so she kind of keeps all of the notes and all of the happenings together and puts that in form for the minutes book. So
Perfect.
Yeah.
All right, see what, Heather, will you grab one more photo if we can all squeeze in so we make sure that we get the entire committee, and Jerry, come on, jump down here, and council. Council. Sherry, get down here.
She just said it.
Council.
That's you, actually.
More students. Okay, we may have to make 2 rows.
Zoe.
I'm sure
Zoe
y'all are
first.
used to this. Okay, there you go, 2 rows. There you go. Can you get us all? Okay, here we go. Good, okay. Thanks, you guys. Have a good night. So before we move on to the consent agenda, I have asked Fran if she would talk a little bit about an event that is coming up this weekend.
This weekend, yes, thank you so much. For those who don't know, I am the executive director at the Senior Activity Center, and we are having our largest fundraiser of the year this Saturday. We have our spaghetti lunch at the center from 11 to 1. And our theme this year is magic. So we're going to have roving magicians walking around the room doing all kinds of magic tricks. And then Saturday night, starting at 5 at the event center, we will have our spaghetti and wine dinner. Good problem to have. We have oversold on tickets for that event because we have Stephen Bargatze, the father of the famous comedian Nate Bargatze, who will be there. He's also a magician. So he will be there doing a magic show as the entertainment. We have a silent auction and a live auction. You know, last year we grossed $86,000, and this year our goal is $100,000. So we are well on target
So
for
it
that.
sounds like you're sold out for dinner, but what about lunch?
Lunch, we still got plenty of space for lunch.
Still have plenty of space for lunch?
Yes.
And if they want tickets, how will they go about doing that?
You can purchase tickets at the door for
Okay.
$20.
For $20. Great.
Yes.
So thanks, Fran. We
Thank
appreciate
you. Appreciate it.
Okay, we're now to item 6, which is our consent agenda. And these are items determined by our town manager to be routine matters, not necessarily needing individual discussion. All consent agenda items may be voted on simultaneously, or we can pull them off to be voted on individually if there's an item that council has questions on or wants to vote on individually. We have quite a few tonight, so if you'll just bear with me. Item A is approval of the terms of and authorization for the mayor to execute an engagement agreement with Davenport and Company LLC for financial advisory services. Item B is approval of the terms of and authorization for the mayor to execute an agreement with Sherwood Shoes doing business as Red Wing Shoes for safety footwear. Item C is approval of the terms of and authorization for the mayor to execute an agreement with Thomas & Hutton for design services for the Lee Victory Recreation Park softball concession and restroom improvements. Item D is approval of the terms of and authorization for the mayor to execute an agreement with Threat ER to renew the town's edge security hardware and software support for the next year. Item E is approval of the terms of and authorization for the mayor to execute an agreement with Wiregrass Construction as the primary contractor and an agreement with Vulcan Materials as a secondary contractor for the milling and resurfacing contract. Item F is approval of the terms of and authorization for the mayor to execute a contract with S&W Contracting Company LLC for yellow turn arrow installation and traffic signal backplate installation. Item G is approval of the terms of and authorization for the mayor to execute a contract with CMT to design a sidewalk along Pioneer Drive from Old Nashville Highway to Pioneer Park. Item H is approval of the terms of and authorization for the mayor to execute the eSource System leak survey and annual information report. Item I is approval of the terms of and authorization for the mayor to execute and execute sewer rehab phase 1 ARP project final change order number 3. Item J is approval of the terms of and authorization for the mayor to execute a contract extension amendment for the water treatment plant capacity analysis with SSR. Item K is approval of the terms of and authorization for the mayor to execute an agreement with National Sign Plazas Incorporated for the installation and maintenance of the directional sign program. Item L is approval of the terms of and authorization for the mayor to execute a contract with Waterstone Title LLC to provide acquisition services related to the Linwood Stewart's Creek Sewer Line project. Item M is approval of the terms of and authorization for the mayor to execute a contract with Joshua Title LLC to provide acquisition services related to the Linwood Stewart's Creek Sewer Line project. Council, is there a question about any one or an item you'd like to pull off?
We have some discussion on item K.
Okay. Okay, seeing no others, then I will ask for a motion to approve the consent agenda for all items other than item K. Have a motion, do we have a second?
Second.
Motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. We'll now go back to item K, which is approval of the terms of and authorization for the mayor to execute an agreement with National Sign Plazas Incorporated for the installation and maintenance of the directional sign program.
I look at this and I think that it's, on its face, it's a good idea. But one of the things I believe that we hope that it's going to alleviate is the fact that on weekends we have a lot of signs which appear giving directions to open houses and such as that to the different subdivisions as they're being developed. And I just really don't think that it's actually going to stop it, because we can't put enough of these signs out there to probably make it effective for them to be able to find their way all the way to each one of the subdivisions. And that the temporary signs are gonna be put out there again. And for the most part, after years of struggling with them, they seem to do a pretty good job of putting them out on Friday and taking them in on Sunday afternoon, so that we don't have to look at them all week long and therefore violating the ordinance. So anyway, that's just, my thoughts on that particular item.
Anybody else have a comment on it?
I had a question about our current sign ordinance, if it's going to allow us to still be able to do this, because I've had some discussion about that this was something that it was attempted a couple of years back, and the sign ordinance didn't allow for it. So have we made revisions or amendments that would allow for it this time?
We would not need to, because it would still be considered a government sign. It's a government sanctioned sign, so it would be exempt from the sign. Good question.
Other questions?
To HG's question, so how do you think it'll work if, let's say we've got one of these at the end of Sam Ridley right there near Rocky Fork or Blair Road, and then maybe another at Rocky Fork. If we have a development that feels like these signs aren't giving enough direction to their development, and they stick up small signs, is that we're still going to allow those? Are we still going to police those, or what's the thought process?
Currently, they're not allowed, but with the limited resources that we have in codes, it's very difficult to try to manage that. The town council did approve an additional position for this fiscal year. That position is meant to try to enhance our code enforcement surrounding signs in its entirety, not just these yard signs that you see being put up. So the goal is that this program, by the time we're ready to put poles in the ground, so to speak, we should be pretty close to having that position, is my hopes. And we'll be able to enforce that. Additionally, part of the discussions that I've had with our building official who oversees codes as well is that we do need to see some additional enforcement on these weekends, because they just know when we're not there. And so part of having that additional position is going to be some responsibilities on the weekend to manage these things.
So I guess, so they're not allowed on public property. They're still allowed on private property, obviously, right?
I believe so, yes.
Yeah, so I think that's where the issue's gonna come in, is they get permission from a property owner to put it on a corner. I mean, I'm just not sure if this is gonna stop it. That's what I'm concerned about. I mean, and there's gonna be some we might be able to pick up, but there's gonna be some we're not gonna be able to bother, because they're on private property.
And I have the same kind of issue that you do about it, and I can't remember how long ago it was. It was quite a while ago that we were picking those signs up, and then there was some discussion had between staff and some of the builders and developers that, I don't know if an agreement or just that as long as it was on private property, obviously we wouldn't be picking them up, but we expected them to be put out and taken up by Monday on that private property, even for that. And so, I have kind of the same concerns you do, and they're not gonna feel like the one sign gets them to the development. And then what happens when you've got ones that do participate, but then you've got others that are like, I'm not gonna pay the money to participate. So that's my only concern.
This is sort of a moving target in a way. I mean, so for example, there's a growth area, that there's a new subdivision or development going on, and there's some signage, let's say by this company, that is placed out there, whether, and I don't know, is that in the right of way? No?
It is.
Okay, so that's a concern, right? But what happens when that evolves? So for example, that development sells out. Is there another one out there that can still use that sign? Or does that sign need to then be pulled up and placed elsewhere? And I guess it could be. I'm just asking how that might play out.
Yeah, I remember in the presentation that we got during the workshop, they did discuss that it is, I don't want to say fluid, but they do make changes to the way, to where these signs are placed or the amount of signs that are placed on a sign. So if a community gets built out, and I'm just paraphrasing from the last time we discussed this, if a community does get built out and that developer or home builder is, says, hey, I no longer need these signs for these communities, then they would just move the rest of the signs up. They wouldn't leave a gap. They would build that up. And if another developer needed to be placed in that sign, they'd request that through the city, and that could happen.
And I guess to carry that further, let's say that happens and they're the only person on that panel. Let's just say there's nothing else out there to point to. Then you've got a blank sign, or does that sign come up as it get moved elsewhere? Or
Yeah, the
what?
sign would come up. We have full discretion on the placement of the signs.
Okay.
So if we saw something out there that, hey, that this is, you got two poles
Do
sticking
you
up.
feel comfortable about the right-of-way positioning?
I do, only because they've done this before, and we get to decide the placement of these signs. So in conjunction with staff, I, of course, wouldn't make that decision in a vacuum. I've got excellent staff who can help me with those, where to make those decisions. We look at where they're suggesting to put these, and if we do think that there's line of sight issues or safety issues in terms of where they want to place these within the right of way, we just certainly wouldn't permit it.
Does, the company does all of the maintenance, right? As far as picking up the signs, moving the signs, adding signs, taking them down, the company does all of that. There's no cost to the town for that at all, right?
That is correct, and also included in that maintenance is maintenance of the actual sign. So chips, they get broken, faded, anything like that, as well as the grounds around the sign as well. So that the landscape maintenance around the immediate landscape maintenance around the signs, is done by them as well.
So essentially, my point was if developers choose not to participate or decide that they think they can get enough
It's
private
still the
property,
Wild,
still,
Wild West, right?
it would be, but there's no cost to us or impact to us as a town, other than we gotta manage the Wild Wild West, right?
Yeah. My concern is in the right of way, as you said, sight distance, but if I'm a private property owner, and all of a sudden I see this sign plaza erected in front of my property in the right of way, I'd immediately be calling City Hall. So how do we assure that that sign plaza is not going to be a hindrance, to private property owners?
I guess the way I would answer that is where these sign plazas are likely to go, they're probably littered with these yard signs as it is today. So hopefully it's an improvement, an aesthetic improvement to nearby property owners who have to see these yard signs sticking out all over the right of way as it is today.
The sign ordinance is on private property, so if they are on private property, they have to have permission. Now, are they putting them in right of way? Yes, but they're taking them up by Monday morning. But I guess I don't have any issue with this program. It's just if one all of a sudden come up in front of my house, because they were pretty hefty sign plazas, like 6-8 feet tall by 4 foot wide. That'd be an issue to me.
Well, I appreciate that. It gives me, if approved by council, we can as staff, just be cognizant of some of the sign location recommendations and take that into consideration as we
Yeah, you know, if you place
provide
them
that
on the property
opportunity.
lines in the right of way, that'd be less obtrusive. That way you're not right in front of someone's house, but if you're on the property line, that's all.
Yeah, I'm kind of in agreement. I don't really have a strong opinion one way or the other. There's no real cost to the town, so why not try it and see what happens maybe? But also, I personally don't think it's gonna eliminate all of those signs, because I think they're so used to putting them out on Saturday and Sunday. Either we're gonna end up being the sign police all weekend, or they're gonna continue to do it rather than spend money with the company if they don't see the benefit in their locale, right? If they feel like that it's not directing enough traffic to their model home or whatever they're trying to point to.
It's not gonna stop your yard sales and garage sales
No.
and, you know, stump removal and junk removal signs and all that kind of stuff too. It's not gonna stop that because that doesn't apply to them. So
Yeah,
I
we-
think we're
we
still
have-
gonna have them.
Well, we had an open house in our neighborhood this weekend, and I noticed that they put a sign out by, the cobblestone sign right on Eon Springs, which has in the past been, signs have been picked up from there, right? But I noticed that they've done that. Obviously, there wouldn't be a plaza for those one-offs, so I think we're still gonna have some of those sign issues.
Yeah, and the other side to that is, the intent behind it is to clean up.
Yeah.
To clean up signage, right? And so, does it do that? I think that's where I'm stuck. Will it do that?
I think it's a good idea. I think let's give it a run and see how it goes.
Is there a limitation if you were, let's say the council did approve it, is there a time limitation or is it just an approval here on out?
Yeah, if we go 90 days, 120 days, 180 days.
It's a lot of
and we-
investment, though,
And we
yeah.
think it just doesn't, it's just really not doing anything.
Yeah.
What's the company gonna say, you know, look, we bought all these signs and put them in, we don't wanna just scrap everything? What, is there?
The term of the contract was originally presented as a 10-year contract. We negotiated it down to a 5-year contract. We do have a termination clause should we have a change in sign ordinance.
So only a change in sign ordinance.
Correct.
What happens if if developers feel like they've got good enough by putting it on private property and we don't have anybody sign up? Is there a minimum amount that has to sign up?
Not that I'm aware of.
Okay.
So, I guess, hope nobody gets mad at this question. Is there any way we could go back to them and ask for a trial period before we commit to 5 years? I guess there's no way
I certainly
that
could do that.
Yeah, I guess.
But I would imagine that with the fabrication of the signage.
That's what I was just thinking. It's like they'd have the
expense
expense up front, so that's not gonna help. After I said it, I was thinking, I wouldn't do that.
What other communities are around us that are doing it so we might have some conversation with them?
I don't know the answer to those questions right now. So I could certainly get that.
Okay. Council, what do you want to do? Do you want to approve or deny or defer until we can get some other answers?
I think I'd prefer a deferral to allow Dave to look into that, what he just said, and maybe find out if there's in other communities around here, maybe find out what their term limits are in their contract comparatively, you know, I don't know, but as opposed to doing one way, I think we're all in a place where we kind of like the idea of cleaning up the sign, but we also see the challenges with it too going forward. For me, if we can get him any more information, for me, that just makes sense.
Okay. Are
So-
you putting that in the form of a motion?
Just to be sure that I'm clear, so you want to defer this to the next meeting, and the questions that you're looking to get answered is what other communities nearby, they have done this, and the other question was?
Are they willing to go less than 5
And
years on
looking
a
for
contract?
Find out what their
Yeah.
contract
smaller-
terms are, yeah.
Smaller
Yeah.
term, okay.
Yeah.
Yep,
Yeah,
sure. If you'll come forward and state your name and address and who you represent.
Patrick Fuller, National Sign Plazas, address is 702 Haggerty Drive, Cedar Park, Texas.
So, one, would you be willing to do less than 5 years?
That would, I'd have to run up the food chain, but I mean, I think 3 might be doable, but I think less than that might be tough for us.
Okay.
Because, like mentioned before, the upfront investment.
Does he know if there's any others around us?
Others around here that,
The only other one we have here in Tennessee is in Pleasant View, and it's a small program that's been around for probably about 5-6 years.
okay.
Mayor, it's my understanding, Dave, I thought we could out of that contract any time before 5 years.
He just said only if there's a sign ordinance change.
We'd have to change our ordinance.
Okay, I thought I asked that question last time. Yeah.
Yeah, there's really, I was looking just now, there's only 2 termination clauses, and by us, it's a change to ordinance, or if the contractor breaches to solve some sort of breach or fails to remedy a solution. And then the contractor can cancel pretty much at any time.
I thought Jerome had a question about the location. And I'm would like to see that as well, where they're gonna be put at. I think that needs to be cleared up too.
I think, yeah, I'll let them say. It says in here basically that they'll work with the town to determine that. I'm not sure they have that yet, but I don't want to speak for them.
Yeah, the town, we work with the town after signature to
Yeah, I think that's more
determine the
on us
locations.
than it is probably you guys.
Yeah.
Clearing that up.
Okay. Okay, so Dave, are you,
Well, we got our answers to both questions, so,
other than location?
other than location, yeah.
So I'll open the floor for a motion. Don't everybody speak at once.
It's Ortiz when started all this.
Where's Pleasant View?
30 miles north of downtown.
Well, like a motion that we defer. I mean, I'd like to go see them in operation.
Okay. Deferral to.
30 days.
A deferral for 30 days. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second, any discussion? All in favor of deferral, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Item is deferred.
Just to follow up. Yeah, just to follow up, if we could investigate the 3-year term, that would be much more helpful.
We think.
Yeah.
We don't know that. We have to discuss
Amber?
that.
I just wanted to announce Councilwoman Peoples had a family emergency that she had to leave for the remainder of the meeting, so she will not be with us for the rest of the meeting.
Great, thank you. We hope everything's okay. Okay, we will move on to old business. Tonight, we have 8 public hearings. You already counted them? So our first public hearing is consideration of an ordinance amending Town of Smyrna Municipal Code Title IX, Business Peddlers, Solicitors, and the like, specifically Chapter 1, Peddlers relative to the transient vendor permits, and the addition to Chapter 6 relative to door-to-door solicitation. Jeff, are you taking this?
I'll take the ordinance part of it, and then if Mr. Santucci or Ms. Hobbs wants to add anything about the logistics, they can, if need be. I know we've talked about this quite a bit. This is in essence an addition to the municipal code, likened to the where you don't want folks to call you or to be on a list to call you, except for this is for door-to-door for your resident. And so this ordinance will allow the town to enforce that against those that come to receive a solicitor's permit, as well as we've already been able to enforce those that are soliciting without a permit. But this will, each person will get a list when they pick up their permit to go out, and it'll have the addresses on there of where they're not to go. They'll also be identified by the sticker as well, but we will definitely need them on the list per the ordinance for it to be an offense for them to do so. That's about it, unless you have questions on that part of it. And then the very first part, which was just a clarification unrelated to the door-to-door, was in Section 9102, which was for those vendors that have a location-specific permit, just clarifying that it's 1 permit per location versus 1 permit for 3 or 4 locations. So that was just kind of a housekeeping measure there.
First of all, I want to say thank you to town staff. This is something that at the beginning of when the weather started to turn warm, we were really starting to hear from citizens about concerns about people going door to door. And so I appreciate the effort you all have put in making this happen. I know it's taken quite a bit, but I think it's going to be something that hopefully will make the solicitors more aware, but also empower our citizens to know what can and can't be done with solicitors coming to their door. So, any questions for Jeff or Dave on this?
I think got an email from Amber today about that would be available online to sign up for.
Beginning tomorrow, yes, sir.
Yes.
Assuming it's approved
Right,
today, yes.
right.
Yeah. So Amber, if it passes, we'll let you talk a little bit about that. Does that work?
Sure.
Okay. So this is a public hearing. Is there anyone here who'd like to speak for or against this item? Seeing no one, we'll close the public hearing, go to council for a motion.
Make a motion, we approve.
A motion?
Second.
Second. Discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Amber, talk a little bit about what citizens can do to apply.
Sure. So the management team internally, Mr. Santucci and Mr. Peach, we have put together staff, and we've collaborated and put together a process on how this will take place. There's been 2 online forms that have been built out, and a landing page that you will be able to access tomorrow on the townofsmyrna.org website. I think the / is no_solicitation, but that will be live tomorrow. It's got a ton of information on there. It's got a frequently asked questions that should provide you all of the information relative to this policy, as well as the policy itself that you guys just passed with this vote tonight. There are 2 online forms. One is to register your address initially to become part of the no solicitation list. And then the second online form that citizens can access is a report a violation form. So that is if, in the instance that you register your address and continue to have solicitors knocking on your door, and you want to report that to the town of Smyrna for Mr. Santucci to review and to potentially violate your permit, then that will go on that list for enforcement purposes. So all of this will be available online. We did have stickers printed out as well, and anybody that signs up for the no solicitation list can come into our lobby during regular business hours, either from the Treasury Department or from the Building and Codes Department. Those windows will have stickers available, as well as the printout for the no solicitation FAQ, kind of outlining some of the policies and what the purpose of it is, and who to call if somebody is violating that policy.
So if you enjoy solicitors coming to your door, do not sign up for this, correct?
Right, correct.
But if you are hopeful that this will help, then we encourage you to sign up and then place the sticker on your door. And if you have somebody come to your door, let us know that. The only way we can stop it is for you to send in the form to let us know that somebody's violated the policy.
Sure, and one thing that I will add, I know that there are a lot of solicitors that are out there that may not be properly permitted through the town of Smyrna. This is another way for us to capture that information as well. Each solicitor out there knocking on doors should have come through the town of Smyrna, filled out an application, paid that permit application fee, and gotten vetted through our police department to be out knocking on doors. And they should also have that permit on their person when they're out knocking on doors. So it is okay to ask them to see their approved permit. And if they don't have one or aren't able to show you one, either politely encourage them to go get one through the town of Smyrna, or report that information as well through the violation form, and that will be a way that we can gather information to reach out to those that may be soliciting without a proper permit.
Great. Any questions on this? Okay. Our second public hearing is consideration of a resolution relative to a plan of service for properties located on tax map 20, parcels 45.00, 61.01, 61.02, and 61.03, and tax map 26, Partials 13.00, 13.01, 13.02, 15.00, 15.01, and 18.01. Kevin?
Yes, Mayor and Council, this is the plan of services for the annexation. That is the next item on your agenda. This is the annexation. We as staff did recommend deferral because of the change in the map of the zoning areas there. But we probably should still go ahead and hold a public hearing if you would want to do that. This plan of services would put in writing all the services that town would be providing upon the effective date of annexation, which would be all services in this area. The Planning Commission did hold a public hearing, did review this plan of services, and did recommend approval.
So let's have a little bit of discussion for item B and item C. In our packet that we got on Friday, it stated that this project needed to go back to planning. So talk a little bit about why that it needs to go back to planning.
Sure, yeah. The developer did listen to you all and did make a change as far as the requested zoning on this property. Did increase the property proposed to be zoned C2 from about 23.6 acres to roughly 30 acres. That is a change from what the Planning Commission did recommend. And so Tennessee Code Annotated does require, if there is a change from a map that has been recommended by Planning Commission on when a zoning has been recommended, that the Planning Commission is required to essentially review that and make a recommendation back to council. And so that's why we did recommend is go back to the Planning Commission to be consistent with what the state law does require on that. If this were a text amendment, it would be if you all wanted to change the text from zoning ordinance text amendment as well. It would be the same in that regard. But so that is why we did recommend it. Again, I think staff would be certainly supportive of the change. We have no issue with the proposed change, certainly. It's just procedurally to go back through the Planning Commission would then come back to you all in September then and could be heard on second reading next month with the public hearing again, obviously with a change, since there will be a change in the actual zoning map that's being proposed.
Okay. I know we've had a lot of discussion over the weekend, Jeff and I and Dave. So we will need to, I want to hold public hearing in case somebody is here tonight to speak for or against because they didn't know. Sure.
So back to what Kevin was saying. So we recommended or requested that they add commercial at our last meeting. And they did that. We talked about it at the workshop. How come this wasn't in planning last week?
We didn't receive the map or what they were proposing until, well, I think I received it late Tuesday evening. So it was too late to get it on the Planning Commission agenda, I guess, was for.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, that's all.
Okay.
The maps that are in our packet are the old maps, correct?
The old maps are in there because that's what was recommended. The new map that they sent is in there in your packet
It
as
is
well.
in here also?
It's toward the end. There also were some renderings that they had added. That was new information. It's kind of looking at the project from Jefferson Pike.
Is that the one called Hickory Grove zoning map? 'Cause there's about 5 maps in our packet.
Okay.
So do you know which one is the one they've submitted?
This is the new one right here.
It has green all the way.
Yeah, that's that whole strip.
Again, the green is the C2, the blue is the industrial.
But this is the revised, right?
This is what they sent to me last week, yeah.
Okay, yeah, okay.
Okay.
What are the white blocks?
The white blocks. There's some labels on there, with some topo labels and things like that. I
The
don't,
lines of,
if I can get this thing to work. Down in here,
no, we'll go up, all the way to the top. I mean,
All
they're
the way
all
to-
over the place, but those.
Yeah, he's talking about those.
yeah.
Those are the
This
numbers.
I think those are
properties.
I think those are parcel, or not parcel lines, but, I think those are topo boundary, or topo,
Contours.
labels, contour labels. I think is all that is. There's just so many, there's some topo change in there, so they're close together. It looks like a line. At this scale, it looks like kind of a white line.
Talk about the proposed trail, Kevin.
Let me see if that's on, I think I might be able to do it, show a little better.
Is it in the renderings
Yeah.
packet?
Here, yeah, it's basically along the boundary, or just outside their boundary. It's
green
shown,
line
shown in
there?
green. Yeah, kind of goes all the way around, the property, to roughly this area here, which is kind of the edge of their property. It could certainly be extended up this direction, in the future.
And the trailhead would be where?
But still to be, of course, nailed down. I think they had shown a potential trailhead here, kind of within their site, but then also we would work, it's on a core property, so we would work with another, potentially along Jefferson Pike, potentially, or something like that as well. If we could work something out through there. Right now, it's a line on a map. There's a lot of details still to be worked out.
But we're talking about greenway size trail, correct?
Yes, 12-foot wide, asphalt.
Other questions before we move to public hearing? Okay,
I'm sorry, did you say that once it goes back to planning and comes back to us, but would it be second reading for us or first reading?
We talked about, I think it could be a second reading.
Okay.
Yeah. But another, you have to have another public hearing and everything, but it would be second reading.
Mayor, when would be the appropriate time to discuss comments that I've received outside of the public hearing or inside?
yeah, why don't we wait till after the public
Okay.
hearing? Okay. Okay, so I will open the floor for the public hearing on the consideration for the plan of services for this product, for this project. Is there anyone here to speak for or against that? Seeing no one, will close public hearing and go to, do I have a motion to approve sending this back to planning for review? And then if there's a positive recommendation, that it comes back to us on second reading. Is that good? Okay. So do I have a motion?
I'll make that motion, but I won't try to repeat what you just said.
Okay. Okay, so we have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion on that? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion passes. We'll now move on to the next public hearing, which is consideration of an ordinance relative to the annexation in C2 and I1 zoning of property on tax map 20, parcels 61.01 and 61.03, and tax map 26, parcels 13.00, 13.01, 13.02, 15.00, 15.01, and 18.01, requested by Hamilton Development LLC on behalf of Hollingshead Land LLC, containing 178.6 acres. The properties are located south of West Jefferson Pike, State Route 266. Anything else you want to add on this?
I don't have anything else to add. Certainly here to answer any questions if you had some questions. Mr. Dempsey did, so.
Okay. Since there are no questions, then I'll go to the public to see if there's anyone here to speak for or against this item. Seeing no one, do I have a motion to, do you want to do comments during? And what about if we do it during discussion between motion and second? Okay. Do I have a motion to send this back to planning, and if a positive recommendation, it comes back to us on second reading, for second reading? A motion, do we have a second?
Second.
Motion and a second. Discussion.
Thank you. I've had a few people reach out to me, and their concern with the project, and I've spoke with the developers about the quality of the project, and is this the beginning of like warehouse row along Jefferson Pike? That was their concern. Spoke with the developer. He assured me it was going to be high-end office development. They've invited me to look at one in Laverne. I think it's Laverne. I haven't had the opportunity. But those were that was the main comment that you know, we see all the development along 840 and the logistic warehouses. And hopefully this is not the beginning of that trend down Jefferson. So that was and I agree with that comment.
I think
Yeah.
it's a fair comment. I do think anytime you talk to the chamber in regards to development, industrial is one of those things that we absolutely don't have enough of. And I think where this is located, it's a perfect spot because it's got the commercial on the front. But I'm also in agreement, I don't think we want to see that all the way down Jefferson Pike per se. But I do think personally that it's a good spot for that and the way they put the commercial on the front.
I think at the budget retreat, you know, Paul Latour talked about this very thing, actually, from a chamber perspective, and we do lack that sort of job creator and income creator, tax income creator. But, you know, from planning perspective, I assume that you guys have seen some of the design that they've proposed, and when you go look, Jerome, I think you'll probably like what you see. But it's a classy looking, it doesn't look like a big truck center, you know? It looks really good. 840 is a corridor built around industry. But whoever's contacted you, I agree, I wouldn't want to see it bleed on down Jefferson Pike either.
Right.
I just don't think that would be a good fit. So around the hub of 840, for planning, it sort of made sense, but whoever you talk to, I agree with them 100%.
Well, I'm sure they're watching tonight.
It's not going to be very far because the Corps owns most of it.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, so we have a motion and a second on the floor. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. I would ask, and Kevin, I know that you're on the spot when you come up here, if there are ones that you think are going to have to go back to planning, if you see it kind of moving in that direction, if you'll just make sure to remind us just as council so we know that, and then the applicant also knows that too.
Yeah,
But
it doesn't come up very often.
Yeah.
Within PUDs and all, you all have some leeway within PUDs
Right.
to make some tweaks and whatever. So it doesn't cut this, most of the time, planning commission makes a recommendation, you all approve it or deny it,
and that's it.
and that's pretty much it.
Right.
On something like
We
that.
only have to send it back when we make a change to, and it's specific to zoning.
It's a
If
zoning
this was a
change.
PUD, PRD, we could have done it inside the PUD or PRD and been fine.
The only
If it's
way,
not a big change.
the only way we
Well,
would look
that's-
at it,
That's subjective, right? What,
well, I think in the past, Mr. Peach and I talked, and Mr. Santucci, in the past, I think we've had one or two PUDs where maybe there was some pretty significant changes in the density or the types of units, houses versus townhomes or something like that. I think those did go back. If we're tweaking a little bit on the size of a home or exterior materials or something like that, I think it gets to be those are pretty minor changes, so.
yeah, I'm just trying to,
Considerable amount of C2 added or
You're
commercial
increasing
added.
25%.
Yeah.
what
Of the
my
C2
concern
area,
is
which is a
is
good
if-
thing, but it's.
Right.
you know,
I'm
it's
trying to
change.
figure out, because we asked for this.
We asked for it.
Right, so if we're gonna make a request that's gonna force them back through planning and potentially delay their project, I wanna know that before the council meeting. So when I've met with them previously, I could already have asked that question or had those conversations, and we're not potentially impacting a developer's timeline.
Well,
And I'm okay with impacting them if it's something that just comes up, but I thought I wanted more commercial or liked more commercial before our last meeting. And I could have brought that up with them prior if I'd realized I was gonna derail the project by not doing it.
but isn't that the standard procedure if we do ask for a change in a PUD, that it does go back to planning?
Only if it's deemed significant.
Well, this was significant.
This isn't a PUD, this is zoning, this is different. We asked for change, we asked for less industrial and more commercial zoning.
So we can ask for those increase or decreases without it going back to
In a
planning?
PUD, we can.
Not if it's significant.
I mean, I
Well,
think,
but significant is subjective. What's significant? That's the whole point.
Right.
Well,
That's
I mean,
why I'm
what'd we say,
asking for
25%?
clarification. What is,
Well,
what is the rule?
25% more commercial, I would say is
this-
significant.
In this case,
And
that's
less
true.
industrial, which is the
Right.
flip of that.
But what you just asked me is, can we ask for changes between commercial and industrial and it not go back to planning? Yes, if it's not significant. In this case, that's significant, but this isn't a PUD. So we're talking about 14 different variables, and I'm trying to figure out what is the rule. That's my whole point.
Well, let me say this, Kevin and his staff do a wonderful job trying to do it the right way. That's why he's up here tonight. And it's, municipal code dictates that he's got to do it this way. It's a requirement. So, to the point of tonight anyway, staff doesn't want this noose around their neck. They want approval done the right way. And that's protectionary, and I appreciate that, so.
Well, if we do it for one, we have to do it
That's
for
right,
all.
yeah.
You know.
But to your point, I get it.
Yeah, well, and I
I
just
don't know
want
what
to know,
significant is
I just
either,
want to know what the rule is so that I'm not a person in the council meeting throwing a monkey wrench in the works because I
Yeah.
don't know what the rule is. So
Yeah.
I'm asking for something that's gonna, I want to know when I'm asking for something that's gonna change
And
the whole process.
that's why I said to Kevin, moving forward, and he has 50 million things he has to think about. If it's going to be something he thinks it's going to trigger that, if he'll let us know that, so that we're aware.
I want to be devil's advocate here. If you would have known it had to go back to planning, would you not have asked for more commercial?
I would have asked prior to the first meeting, the first reading.
Okay.
That's what I'm saying. I knew that I wanted more commercial prior to the first reading. I would have contacted the developer and said, hey, you're gonna submit this. I think it's gonna need more commercial. Can you look at that? I would at least had that conversation
Well,
with them.
I think developer needs to be contacting planning with those.
With their change, but they
Right.
can't contact me and ask, I mean, they can contact me and I can talk to them.
That might be some of the problem.
No, I think
No, that's
they've
my
done-
job. I'm in
Right.
planning commission. That's
Right.
what I'm supposed to do.
I think the developer on this project has done everything that we've asked. I
Right.
mean, we've asked for more commercial, and they've even given more commercial than what we originally asked for, plus,
In a greenway.
and a greenway.
Yeah,
So-
and I agree with that. I just think we've got a certain procedure to follow, and we can't short circuit that procedure. And I understand what you're saying, Steve. You need to know the procedure.
Right, yeah.
Yeah.
And I don't think anyone's suggesting we short circuit anything. I'm simply saying that if it's going to make a change that causes it to have to go back through a process, I want to know what those requirements are so that I know when to ask those questions.
And now all the points are made.
Okay, so Jeff, on our housekeeping item D, do we need to defer that as well, or we need to defer that one? Okay, so item D is consideration of a resolution and memorandum of ordinance 25-21 relative to the annexation in C2 and I1 zoning of property requested by Hamilton Development LLC on behalf of Hollingshead Land LLC containing 178.6 acres. Do I have a motion to send this back to planning for it to come, and if it comes back with a positive recommendation, that we will hear it on second reading?
So moved, Mayor.
For motion, do we have a second?
Second.
Motion second, any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. We'll now move on to our fourth public hearing, which is consideration of a resolution relative to a plan of services for properties located on tax map 20, parcel 9.00, 20.01, 22.00, 33.00, 35.00, 36.00, and 42.00, and tax map 26, parcels 21.00 and 27.00. Kevin?
Yes, this is the plan of services. It's for the next, the annexation. That's the next item on your agenda. This does put in writing all the services the town would be providing upon effective date of annexation, which would be, again, in this case as well as the previous one, all services, as we do provide water as well as would be sewer here, this area. Planning Commission did hold a public hearing, reviewed this plan of services, and did recommend approval. Staff would also recommend approval.
For Kevin on this. Seeing no questions, we'll go to the public to see if there's anyone here to speak for or against this plan of services. Seeing no one, we'll close public hearing, go to council for a motion. A motion, do we have a second?
Second.
Motion and a second, any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Our next item is a public hearing, and it's a consideration of an ordinance relative to the annexation and I-3 zoning of properties referenced on tax map 20, parcels 9.00, 20.01, 22.00, 33.00, 35.00, 36.00, and 42.00, and an annexation in C2 zoning of properties referenced on tax map 26, parcels 21.00, 27, and 27.00. Requested by Hollingshead Land LLC containing 70.06 acres. The properties are located on West Jefferson Pike, State Route 266 and Hickory Grove Road. The request would also include the annexation of an existing right-of-way of Hickory Grove Road from the existing town limits approximately 1.1 miles northward, as well as an existing abandoned right-of-way from Hickory Grove Road eastward approximately 674 linear feet. Kevin?
Yes, Mayor and Council, this is the annexation and zoning request, multiple properties, all located along or north of Jefferson Pike and east of Hickory Grove Road. Land use plan for the portion of this request along West Jefferson Pike is the 840 Gateway character area, which would support a mix of hospitality, retail, restaurant, high-density residential and industrial warehousing uses. This would be along Jefferson Pike, includes all of the Cornerstone to Smyrna PUD. The area north of that designation would support mixed industrial east of Hickory Grove Road and low-density residential west of Hickory Grove Road. Town would be providing, as stated earlier, would be providing all services to this area upon annexation. There's two parcels totaling approximately 3.48 acres to be zoned C2. The remaining 7 parcels, which total approximately 66.58 acres, to be zoned I3. If this request is approved, staff did recommend and the Planning Commission concurred that the existing right-of-way of Hickory Grove Road from the current town limits extending northward approximately 1.1 miles to the easternmost property line of parcel 9 should be annexed. In addition, there's an approximately 674-foot long 50-foot wide strip of land extending eastward from Hickory Grove Road, immediately north of parcel 42. It appears to be an old right-of-way. We did recommend that be included in this annexation as well. It currently appears to be utilized as access to the SRM quarry. The Planning Commission did review this request, did recommend approval, and staff would also recommend approval.
Just a quick question. Upgrade to the road that we're going to take over, is that on their expense?
Yes.
Okay.
To city standards.
Yes.
Okay.
That was part of the original
Right.
flood approval.
Yeah, I just wanted to bring that up.
Okay. Other questions for
Yeah.
Kevin
I
before
have
we?
a question to follow up on that right-of-way, and I guess whatever the agreement is or time limit to bring it up to town standards. Do we foresee that right-of-way extending on out in the future in the town? I know it's in the urban growth boundary, but do we see that, taking that right-of-way in any time in the future?
So-
Beyond what we're doing now?
Cross back over 840?
It does, yeah, I mean, I think it would be only if it's requested for annexation for additional parcels, it would be along it, that would be the only time. Certainly that could happen, it is in the urban growth boundary. There's no plan at this point, obviously, but additional annexations may require it at some point to make the annexation contiguous to the town limits or something like that.
Is that the old Blue Water Quarry, the old Hoover Quarry? Is that what that is?
There's two. That's the older quarry here. That's the northernmost, and then this is the newer quarry here.
Yeah,
south
no,
of it, yeah.
the Hollingshead one is in city limits, right?
Yes.
But the one that's not annexed, that's the existing one, right?
That's correct. That was the quarry's been there
And
for
the
a long
road
time.
follows their property, so I don't know why they would ever annex that into the town.
And it may be additional properties outside of their property potentially could be requested at some point. But
Okay. Any other questions for Kevin before we go to the public hearing? Okay, seeing none, we'll go to the public to see if there's anyone here to speak for or against this item. Seeing no one, we'll close public hearing and go to council for a motion.
Motion to
Anybody
approve.
here? Motion, we have a motion, do we have a second?
Second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. We'll now do our housekeeping item, which is consideration of a resolution and memorandum of ordinance 25-22 relative to the annexation of certain properties requested by Hollingshead Land LLC containing 70.06 acres. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Our next public hearing is consideration of an ordinance relative to the amendment of the approved PRD for Gamble Oaks requested by Delta Civil Engineering, PLLC, on behalf of Viking Companies. The property requested to be amended contains 7.13 acres and is located on Gamble Lane. Kevin?
Yeah, this is a piece of property on Gamble Lane. It's about 900 feet east of the intersection with Indian Springs Road West. Land use plan for this area is the 24 Gateway Character Area, supporting mix of uses and services, such as hospitality, retail, restaurant, and multifamily. Surrounding zoning is R1 and R3. This parcel is also located within the Indian Springs overlay. The existing approved PRD would allow for 22 single-family lots with a minimum house size of 1,700 square feet with a two-car garage. After the dedication of right-of-way for Gamble Lane, the total development area would be 6.78 acres, which would be a density of 3.24 units per acre. After the open spaces of 1.02 acres is removed, the density is 3.82 dwellings per acre. Requested amendment would increase the number of lots to 23, so go up by one, which would be a 3.39 units per acre, and after the open space is considered 4.49. In addition, the changes do include eliminating one of the cul-de-sacs, consolidating two detention areas into one, and moving the amenity area to a different location to allow for the larger detention area. The overall open space did increase from 1.02 acres to 1.66 acres. There are no other changes from the original PRD as proposed. I did include the original pattern book, so that includes some of those additional information that wasn't in the requested changes. The Planning Commission did review this request, did recommend approval. Staff would also recommend approval.
Questions for Kevin or comments for Kevin?
Kevin, I've got a question. The property to the west.
Yes.
With the big circular drive, is that zoned R1? And the rest to the east are R3?
That's correct, I believe, yeah.
And then the property to the south, do we know what that is zoned?
That's the Gamble family property.
Okay.
It is still R1.
So I guess my question is, does their 20-foot buffer come into play under this PUD amendment along the R1 properties?
Because this was approved prior to
Even
change,
with amendments, it still doesn't apply?
there's, because of the, Jeff, what's the word? I've lost it. They've had, because,
Grandfather?
well, not really grandfather, sorry. Well, they haven't had phases, but it was approved prior to, and so there's within that 3-year time frame that they have the, state law does limit vesting rights, thank you.
Vesting.
Apologize, yeah, the vesting rights. If it's within 3 years, which is within, they would have those vesting rights.
So they could come back with multiple amendments within that 3-year period, and that still wouldn't apply?
That's correct, yes.
Wow, okay.
So now you see why I was questioning what's significant.
Well, this was significant because it's increasing density, so it's very,
See?
that's
But I
specific.
Told you.
But I don't really see the difference when it
All
can
you
go
gotta
back
do
and when
is
it
listen
doesn't.
to Kevin.
Well, this came back to planning commission, and of course, we came through the whole process. We're not recommending this go back to planning commission now.
Is this, what is that?
Steve, if you want to know the truth, I've been asking him that question for many years now.
I always like subjective terms like significant. Who defines significant, right? I would rather have percentages or numbers so that it's clear.
Y'all want to beat the horse anymore?
Sure. If beating it makes it change.
Hey, the apples are falling out.
Okay. So this is a public hearing. Does anyone want to speak for or against this item? Seeing no one, we'll go to, no, we've gone to the public. Seeing no one, we'll go to the council for a motion.
Make a motion to approve, Mayor.
For motion to approve, do we have a second?
Second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. We'll now go on to item I, which is consideration of an ordinance relative to the rezoning of tax map 28, parcel 75.00 from a PCD to a C2. It's requested by MDT Construction. The property requested to be rezoned contains 1.63 acres and is located at 1170 Rock Springs Road. Kevin?
Yes, this is a rezoning request to change the PCD back to its original zoning, which was C2. It is at 1170 Rock Springs Road. It's at the intersection of Rock Springs Road and Austin Lee Drive. Land use plan would support the Sam Ridley corridor character area, which would support a combination of retail uses and services here. Surrounding zoning is C2 and C4. This property was rezoned from a C2 to a PCD, planned commercial development, in May of 2023 to allow for an automobile rental business with a detached car wash for use by that business only. Site plan was submitted and approved by the Planning Commission for a retail center consistent with C2 zoning, pending approval of this rezoning by council. Planning Commission did review this request, did recommend approval, 7-4-0 against. Staff would also recommend approval.
Questions for Kevin on this? Seeing no questions, I'll go to the public to see if there's anyone here to speak for or against this item. Seeing no one, we'll go to council for a motion.
Move we approve.
For a motion, do we have a second?
Second.
Second.
Motion is second. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? We'll move on to item J, which is our last public hearing tonight. It's the consideration of an ordinance relative to the rezoning of tax map 50, parcel 14.00 to go from C2 to I2. It's requested by Madison Jones with Platform Real Estate Group. The property requested to be rezoned contains approximately 9.88 acres and is located at the corner of Tridon Drive and Safari Drive. Kevin?
Yes, Mayor and Council, this is a request to rezone property on the northwest corner of Tridon Drive and Safari Drive. Land use plan is for this area is the 24 Gateway character area. Again, would support a mix of uses and services such as hospitality, retail, restaurant, and multifamily. Surrounding zoning is C2, I1, and I2 in town, and IN or institutional in Rutherford County. The Planning Commission did review this, did recommend approval. Staff would also recommend approval.
Questions or comments for Kevin on our last public hearing? Seeing none, I'll go to the public to see if there's anyone here to speak for or against this item. Seeing no one, I'll go to council for a motion.
Move to approve.
For a motion, do we have a second?
Second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion?
Yeah, in my opinion, this is better suited C2, but also know, Mark, you made a comment that it's sat there empty from C2 for a reason. You know, I think geographically across from the gas station, trying to attract interstate traffic to that would be well suited for C2. So that's going to influence my vote.
Okay, any other comments? We have a motion and a second on the floor. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Aye.
Motion passes. We'll now move on to new business, our Planning Commission report. Our first item is consideration of an ordinance relative to the amendment of the existing PRD of properties located on tax map 54, parcel 57.02, and tax map 73, parcels 13.00, 13.01, and 13.03, 13.04, and 16.00, owned by South Coast DFH Nashville LLC, containing 67.68 acres, and the rezoning of tax map 54, part of parcel 57.00, owned by S. Collins 2 Properties LLC from R3 to PRD containing 31/100ths of an acre. The request is from Gamble Design Collaborative on behalf of the property owners and is located along Rocky Fork, Amable Road, and Briley Road. Kevin?
Yes, Mayor and Council. The properties that are the subject of this request are located south and east of Briley Road and west of Rocky Fork, Almoville Road. The land use plan would support medium-density, single-family residential development in this area. Surrounding zoning is PRD, which are the Collins Grove, Alfaro subdivision, Reverie at Music City, and Linwood PRDs in town, and RM in Rutherford County. The existing PRD for Briley Downs, which was approved in April 2023, is for 212 single-family lots on 67.68 acres for a density of 3.13 units per acre. When the provided open space is considered, it is 212 lots on 52.21 acres for 4.06 units per acre. The requested PRD and PRD amendment would add 0.31 hundredths of an acre, currently zoned R3, from an adjacent tract. The requested PRD would then be for 217 single-family lots on 67.99 acres for a density of 3.19 units per acre. And again, when the open space is considered, it's 4.13 units per acre, so slight increases on both counts with that, with the increased lots. In addition, the amenities proposed have been changed to add a pool and a clubhouse, replacing a pavilion, dog park, and community garden. In addition, it has been requested to amend the front setback from 35 feet to 20 feet, but still requiring a 35-foot setback to any front entry garages. The overall layout, minimum and maximum house size, et cetera, has not changed from what was originally approved a little over 2 years ago. The Planning Commission did review this request, did recommend approvals, and staff would also recommend approval.
Questions for Kevin on this?
Yeah, so they're requesting to go from 35-foot front setback to a 20-foot front setback on the whole development?
That's correct, but still with a 35-foot setback to the garage, so you'll have it would require an offset, or wouldn't require an offset, would require a 35-foot setback to the garage, so you could have
And
an
20
offset.
for the house.
20, could be 20 foot for the
And
house.
what was discussion at planning with that, Steve?
I don't think we talked about it a lot. It's something that we've done in the past many times to allow, part of that offset reason is for parking, so that we can make sure we have enough room. So we've never really wavered on the 35-foot for parking purposes, but the 20-foot moving the porch or the house forward 15 feet doesn't really affect that as long as they keep the 35 on the garage. So it really wasn't discussed at planning, but that's because we've done this multiple times in the past, the same kind of design.
One of the things that we had a lot of issue with was, yeah, and parking, not being able to get 4 on the pad.
But
so.
we're moving the house forward 15 feet. We're keeping the garage at 35.
Correct.
But moving the house forward 15 feet.
Right.
Are they increasing the square footage of the house based on that?
They're not proposing increasing the square footage, no. I think this was a little over 2,000 square feet was the minimum.
Just
if I remember.
increasing the backyard size?
It would increase somewhat, hopefully, yeah, if you increase the house.
Either that or allow for a covered back porch area kind of thing.
Other questions or comments?
Yeah, I've got one more question. The little section of R3 in the middle, are they taking that in?
That's the .31 acre that's being
Okay.
taken in, yes.
Just say we had that .13 acres on the perimeter of the development that abutted an RM or R1. Would that then be allowed to negate the 20-foot landscape buffer requirement?
Again, this is one that
I'm doing a hypothetical.
I understand. In this particular case, no, because
Okay.
it's the same
Right.
reason with the vested rights. In addition to, I mean, they've got they're developing the first phase of this is pretty much ready for permits. So in a hypothetical, maybe where there was nothing had happened and this was a PUD amendment that was for nothing had happened in 3 years and they were, say they were approved prior to, then yes, you could. If there was no, if the vesting rights had lapsed.
Well, even if the vesting rights haven't lapsed, if you're taking in property on the perimeter.
I understand what you're saying
Yeah.
now, yeah. I don't know.
Anyway,
That's
it doesn't
something we could-
apply to this.
It
We'll
doesn't
have
apply
that-
to this one.
we'll
I
have
think
that
that we would have,
discussion,
we
yeah.
could certainly, if this were adjoining R1 or RM
Right.
property, adding additional property to a PRD, I understand where you're coming from now. I
Okay.
apologize, I misunderstood you.
That's all
I think
I've
that's,
got.
hypothetically, that
Yeah.
could be something we could consider, I guess, yeah.
Thanks, Kevin.
Other comments or questions? Seeing none, do we have a motion?
Mayor, I'm going to abstain from the vote.
Okay, do we have a motion?
Motion to approve.
For a motion, do we have a second?
Second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Aye.
With one abstention. Item 2 is consideration of an ordinance relative to the rezoning of tax map 18, part of parcel 10.01 from C2 to a PUD, and for the amendment of the existing PUD on tax map 18, part of parcel 10.01, as well as parcels 10.02, 10.03, 10.04, and 10.05, and tax map 28, parcels 44.29, 44.30, and 44.31, owned and requested by Stewart's Landing LP. The property requested to be rezoned from C2 to PUD contains approximately 3 acres, and the parcels requested to have the PUD amendment contain approximately 37.94 acres for a total of 40.94 acres. Properties are located on Sam Ridley Parkway West and Motlow College Boulevard. Kevin?
Yes, Mayor and Council, the properties that are subject to this request are located in the northeast corner of Sam Ridley Parkway West and Motlow College Boulevard. Land use plan is the Sam Ridley corridor character area, which would support a combination of retail uses and services for both local and regional scale. Surrounding zoning is C2 in town and ag or agriculture in Laverne. The existing approved PUD would allow for 280,400 square feet of commercial buildings, 245,500 square feet of office, 240 hotel rooms, and 75 for sale condominiums. The requested PUD and PUD amendment would add 3 acres in the extreme northwest corner of this parcel, which was excluded originally, with a note that use would be coordinated with the town and Motlow State Community College. This portion of the parcel is still Zone C2, but has been requested to be incorporated into the PUD with this amendment. In addition, the PUD amendment would remove the 75 for sale condominiums, replace them with 268 for rent apartments. The requirement of a minimum of 75% brick, stone, and glass exterior has been requested to be amended to a minimum of 64.31% masonry and glass. List of primary materials would be amended to add several things: authentic stucco, composite metal, prefinished wood, and painted wood. And the list of secondary materials will be amended to add cementous siding, fabric awnings, architectural metal panels, and smooth face concrete masonry. The overall road layout has not changed, but the location, orientation, and uses of some of the buildings have changed. The Planning Commission did review this and did recommend approval with 3 conditions. One, for them to provide more details for the proposed recreational amenities for the plazas and parks that are proposed. Provide a signage plan as required by the sign ordinance. And that non-residential buildings are required to meet the requirements of design review, including a minimum of 75% brick, stone, and glass for any elevation visible from a public street. Residential and mixed-use buildings are required to meet requirements of design review for residential buildings, with the exception that the first floor of any mixed-use building is required to meet the requirements for non-residential buildings, so the higher brick percent is there. And with those conditions, staff would recommend approval.
Steve or Mark, anything from planning that you want to add?
Well, we had a long discussion the other night on this project. One of the things, this is sort of a landmark type of project for the town, so we want to get it right. We want to make sure that's done correctly. Lan was here, and I don't know, I can't tell if he's here or not, he may be, but he presented a video of this at Planning Commission the other night to let us kind of get a better visual of what they're proposing. And one of the things we've talked about with him was kind of like what we did with Alta Depot down in the middle of town, was bringing viability, heads in the beds and demographics to a development that will feed the businesses, walkability and that kind of thing. So I scratched my head. I asked a question regarding the number of apartments that we already have. I'll just say, from a standpoint of apartments, I think all of us are concerned when we start adding them. We have to look at each project on its own merit, and decide whether or not that project can or cannot be sustainable if it doesn't have the proper amount of foot traffic. So we've announced Sprouts, we've got Jonathan's Grill, City Barbecue, Wawa. I think Lan mentioned there's an unnamed steakhouse that has looked at one of the buildings there that it's not a signed lease yet, so I don't want to be saying that that's a done deal. But those types of businesses are going to require some assistance from demographics. Now, that said, there's a lot of demographics along Sam Ridley Parkway already. We all know that. But that's kind of where Planning Commission discussed it pretty deeply. The aesthetics of this development are beautiful, and not only do we want it beautiful, but we want it to be successful. So that's the reason the Planning Commission, in my opinion, found favor with it.
Yeah, there was some discussion about why the change, and Lan and his team helped us explain that there was a significant change in the anchor grocer, that the square footage of Hy-Vee was significantly larger than the square footage of Sprouts, and that kind of changed the whole layout a little bit. There was also some questions or conversations about or concerns really about the number of apartments, and one of the conversations around that was that, hypothetically, if this development requires 1,000 visitors a day to sustain itself, if there's no or less on-site living, then that's 1,000 people that have to come there. If there's people living there, there's more apartments on site, then that's less people having to travel to the development to sustain it, which in theory reduces some traffic, right? So there was some of that conversation too. Having people there potentially reduces the amount of people that have to come there.
And to tag on to that, they did add green space and park space that was not there previously. The amphitheater is still built in there. It's relocated in what I think is a more effective location. So those are all the things we weighed out, and it's a hard decision. Believe me, it's a tough decision, but we want it to be successful. We want the lights on some of these businesses long past 5 p.m. And so when you have viability living on the property, it makes sense.
I also originally had concerns when he asked to meet with us in regards to apartments versus townhomes and number of those. And I think we've all said, unless something is zoned R6 or it is something that is very specific where it's a fit, we feel like it's a good fit, that we don't want to see more apartments. And so I do think this is a unique property. It's something that's totally different. It's probably not going to be a project where a family's going to want to rent for their young kids to be there. I think it's probably...
He also mentioned that there's no 3 bedrooms in any of these. It's 1 and 2 bedrooms, so it's geared towards either single empty nesters or young adults that are
looking for that lifestyle.
Looking for that kind of lifestyle,
Yeah.
right?
So
You hope that a lot of them are working on site even,
some
You walk to work.
other,
Yeah, I've got a few comments, Mayor. So the viability is the issue. My question is, if we're going from 100,000 square foot previous anchor to 23,000 square foot anchor now, and we only had 68 condos to support that, and we've reduced the square footage of that significantly, but now we're increasing, going to 275 apartments, was it not viable the first time that it was submitted? That's one point I'd like to make. I've heard from several residents that, apartment central is Smyrna. And I think I asked Kevin to ask how many apartments we have from Blair Road to Lowry Street along the Sam Ridley corridor, and I think it was 4,336. And to follow up with that, he did a citywide map with apartment counts of apartments that's either been built and or approved. And we have, I think, 8,600, somewhere 8,600. Yeah, in the town. And I've heard us sit up here, talk about quality of life, talked about that's the last R6 zoning, but we're turning right around and approving 270 apartments versus 65 townhomes that were previously approved. So I guess my question is that, what's a stopping point? I mean, is there a stopping point? And also, I wasn't on the council when this came to be to the council and was approved. I know we previously owned the property, so maybe somebody that was on the council can explain how much we sold the property for, what kind of tax incentives they've got to make their business model work. So there are tax incentives associated with this project, right?
Correct.
So, which is basically a tax abatement for this project. So we've done those concessions as a town, and now we're looking to add this many more apartments, and I just can't support it. The citizens have reached out to me. Nothing wrong with living in an apartment. We've all done that. But at what point are we saturated? And I think Dave even followed up with some data that our current rentals in Smyrna is at 44% rental and then 56% ownership, and there's a 5 to 7% vacancy rate in the existing apartments we have.
Sure. Just to clarify, because I did get some questions on that. The vacancy rate on rental apartments is approximately 5%.
Right.
The national average and the state average is above that by about a point or two, 1.5 to 2 points. And then that rental to ownership ratio that you're discussing, Councilmember Dempsey, is related to ownership versus rental across all housing stock, not
Right,
just.
not just apartments.
Yeah, not just apartments.
Right.
So I just want to clarify
Yeah.
with the rest of the council, in case I was not clear in that email.
So the TIF, the sale of the property for 5.1 for, what was it, 40 acres? Can someone explain how we got to that point? And then the other question I've got is of Kevin, the 3 acres that they're wanting to take in, there was a note, some way that property, I guess, initially was being reserved or held. So something about Motlow and the town agreeing. So what was that 3 acres preserved for before?
I think it was, my memory is correct, it had something to do with just additional parking for Motlow, I think. I don't recall it was for.
So is
that's for
that
the
no
building.
longer an agreement?
I don't remember that it was being held. I mean, I don't remember that we had an agreement with them. Did we have an agreement with them?
There was something there was some drawings and all that's where I got that information from, that was to be coordinated. It wasn't changed, it was not included in the original PUD. It was
Right.
kept as a C2 zoning. So I think it was held out for something. And my recollection was there was something, potential additional parking for Motlow or something
Yeah,
like
the
that.
notes indicated the town and
Didn't be-
Motlow.
Right.
So you asked about the acreage. We had held on to this, Kevin, how long had we had it?
Oh, it's 40 or 50 years at
What I remember
least.
was 1975.
Yeah.
And initially, we had hoped that it would be some sort of office park or something like that. And obviously, until the rest of Sam Ridley began to develop, we were getting no bites on it, nothing. And we were looking for the right kind of project to come in. And when this developer came in with this project that had residential as well as commercial, it was a project that we were and are excited about. We felt like it was the right fit for that area and something that would bring in a significant amount of tax revenue. And personally, I'm still excited about the project. I think it's a good project, and I don't have an issue with apartments in this area. Obviously, with a vacancy rate of only 5%, obviously, there's people that want to live in that area.
That's on apartments that's been built, not what's been approved in that they're building.
Yeah, one of the things just from.
Before we go to that next subject, what about the TIF? Can y'all explain the structure of that?
Jeff, do you want to explain the structure of the TIF that had to be approved by the Rutherford County, by the IDB as well as the Rutherford County Commission?
Well, one, I don't know if it'd be proper for me to explain the county's TIF. We do a resolution that adopts that. If you're familiar with TIFs, they are taxed increment financing, so it goes out for the number of years, whether it's 15 or 20, or you can do less. And I believe this brings the number down, if I'm correct from their presentation, as far as the number down of what the TIF amount would be. And the yield was higher for the commercial taxes that would be available to the town at the end of the TIF, is what I remember in the presentation. But obviously, they go to the IDB there at the county and the county commission. And so TIF is somewhat complex and kind of offhand. I can give you a presentation on it if you'd like that later.
TIFs. I'm just trying to ask about this specific
Right.
Structure.
If I may, I had asked that the developer be prepared to
Yeah.
discuss the TIF as well as the impacts to the TIF as it relates to the requested
Yeah.
changes.
I'm just trying to figure out how many years of tax abatement, what's that equate to versus what taxes from this development that we're going to receive?
Yeah, I believe he's got that information
Okay.
for you tonight, council member. The other point of clarification, if I may, before we get too far ahead, the grocer was somewhere around, I think, 97,000 square feet, and this grocer is at 23,000 square feet. However, there is a new box retail store that's just, what would that be, to the, northeast? If you can read that, you're a lot better than me.
Number 18.
Okay, right there. Yeah, those were added to the project, so the actual difference in square footage is closer to, I think, about 20,000 in
Is it
overall
still-
square
is it
footage.
still less?
Yes, it's a
Okay.
difference of about 20,000
Okay.
less. So I just want to make that clarification
Right.
for the council as well.
Okay, if there's someone from the development that could come forward and, that way any questions that we have, and as you are coming forward, if you would state your name, your address, and what group you represent.
Yeah, this is Land Elliott, Equitable Property Company, Nashville, Tennessee. I guess I kind of had a few things teed up. I don't want to be redundant for the council because everybody in the planning commission or the planning staff, because we've shown this, but for the general public, I'd like to show the video one more time and then kind of got some information along the lines of what Councilman Dempsey is asking us. And so Pierre, would you please push the video for him? This is a 3D model of what the development will look like with the units. And this is coming in on the boulevard. You're seeing single floor story retail with second story office above it. And this is the multifamily mixed use area. This is one of the city parks that you're looking down on right here that was added. We went from 1 acre to just over 6 acres of green space when we asked for the apartment units. We're going down towards Motlow Boulevard here, 10,000 square foot retail on your right, Sprouts directly in front of you, and the 25,000 square feet to the right that the city manager was talking about. Are there any kind of questions about that from anybody on the council? We've seen the master plan up here. Would you please pull up the TIF, which is the last, number 4, yep. So when we lost the potential tax revenue from, property tax revenue from the grocer of Hy-Vee, who basically abandoned the market in Middle Tennessee. They had 3 locations in Rutherford County that they abandoned and a distribution facility. We went back and resized the TIF. And so the TIF now will be $20.7 million. And you can see at the bottom is the benefit to cost ratio. And the original one, the benefit was $5.9 to 1, and now it's 6.45 to 1. And sort of the floor of the cost ratio is $3. That's sort of the state norm for when a TIF becomes viable to a community. So we're over double that now. So the total tax increment went down considerably when the grocer left. I hope that answers your question.
Yeah, so we're basically, I guess the TIF is alleviating $20.7 million over.
Property tax revenue.
Yeah, property tax revenue over a 20-year period.
Yeah, on a property that generates 0 right now and it's
Right.
getting ready to generate all those sales
Right.
tax dollars, which is
And
really what was attractive to.
Did that restructuring come back to the council or the IDB?
So it's a developer-backed TIF. So we can't take anything more than we can repay.
Right.
Is how the document reads. So it doesn't require that we go back. It just requires that we don't take more than
Don't
we
exceed
can.
that.
Yeah, we just
Okay.
can't take more benefit than the property taxes can repay.
And the 6.45 to 1,
Mhm.
that's the projection of
For every
sales
dollar,
tax,
yes. The job
that will
creation.
come to both the county and the town.
Yes, sir.
Is that 6.45 the same for each, the town and the county?
That's the total tax return
Total?
benefit. Mhm.
Okay.
Mhm. The majority of that goes to the city, because that's where the sales tax dollars are, the
Right.
majority of the sales tax dollars are going, and the jobs are
And
created.
maybe you can answer my question about the viability now versus when you initially presented it with a larger retail with
Yeah.
68
Yes.
condos or 65, and what's changed?
Well, we've had considerably less square footage. We now we're asking for, more multifamily units. In general, we started to look at like the best in class in the southeast of mixed use developments. And pretty much every single one of them has residential density on it. And so what you're really looking for is that kind of 24/7 activation with people actually living there, being able to shop at the stores and increase that tax revenue, which is why those things all got started in the first place. So the more people there, the more tax revenue generated through sales tax is the
gonna be-
concept.
4,300 apartments along that corridor, so.
Yeah, most of which are not within walking distance, and a lot of them aren't. No,
Across from
there's none.
Montville, behind the Y. The other thing, what about the 3 acres? What's
Yes.
the history of the 3
So
acres?
I would that was always contemplated as part of this. In fact, we worked with Motlow and Dr. Torrance at Motlow prior to this ever getting passed. So that was always considered part of this deal and did not, for whatever reason, get included at the closing like it was supposed to. So it was done all contemplated well prior to this. And when we started to look at developing it, came up that it was not properly rezoned with the PUD and included in the PUD.
So it wasn't originally part of the PUD?
It was not originally part of the city-owned property. What was included in our purchase agreement with the city.
Still kind of confused.
Well, Jeff, can you walk through it? Yeah, this has been about 2.5
There had
years
been
ago.
a handshake agreement with Motlow about, did they want to reserve that property for parking? And that, at some point, this was previous town manager, I don't recall all their discussions, but that Motlow was favorable of what you were doing. They didn't need all of it. And so I don't think we could ever find a document that guaranteed that they would receive it anyway. And so it was figured into those 40-something acres or whatever it was. But I don't recall, the details about that, but I just recall those meetings with Motlow and that they just had a handshake agreement, but they worked it out with your company.
Yeah, and we connected into Motlow via a road. If you can kind of see, it's kind of blurred by the blue line on the back of the property, but we're connected into Motlow so that they can access the development.
Well, I think it's an attractive development, but I can't support the increase, from 65 or 68 condos to 275 apartments. That's kind of my issue, especially with all the apartments along Sam Ridley.
Okay, other comments or questions?
I guess one that I can't remember the last time the town had any kind of tax increase. It's probably been 12, 15 years ago. I don't even know. Part of the reason I think behind that is sometimes people don't want to see growth or development, but what they probably don't understand is sales tax, and HG will always tell you, shop local. Sales tax is one of the big drivers of us being able to not raise property taxes, and we haven't done that in a long, long time. Sam Ridley is a long corridor. We've improved Sam Ridley over the years, and to Jerome's point, I don't disagree with him. I think there's a lot of apartments up and down through there, but if you look at the retail that's come because of it, that retail generates tax revenue, which has kept us from having to raise sales tax. So,
Property tax.
I'm sorry, property tax, sales tax actually increases because of it. So shopping local is important. I say that all just from a standpoint of how we discussed it the other night. That was in the back of my brain. I'm like Jerome, I don't like any more apartments either. I said that in the meeting at Planning Commission. We're not fond of it. But to the mayor's point too, I think we've got to look at every big project like this on its own merits and try to understand that we're trying to keep property tax increases really off of our constituents by doing projects such as this that increase that revenue. So that's kind of where I fell on that. Jerome, I'm not disagreeing with you about apartments at all. And it'd be probably a long, cold day before, I don't think we have any more R6 properties in town anymore. If there's any, it's a small, small amount. Kevin may be able to tell us, but very little, if any, R6 left in town. But up to this point, R6 has been very consistent along through the corridor of Sam Ridley. It was zoned that way for many, 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 many years, of which we cannot change. When a landowner has zoning, I'll go back to the Kroger situation that we've talked about. That was zoned correctly. People don't understand. We can't tell them they can't build something there. It's zoned properly. So, getting off subject here, the whole idea is behind making sure that we're putting projects together that have a lifeline built into them. And of 75 condos and 216 apartments to make this work. I know that, Lan, when you and I met, you had told me that there were really no medical use applications. You thought there would be close to the hospital, close enough to the hospital to draw some sort of medical business use, if you will, but that was dead quiet. So to their point, this project is multi-million dollars, and I think they've got to make sure it works. I think it's incumbent on me, at least, to feel like we're going to be supportive to make that work so that we can see a good project here. We can see a beautiful project here. If it's the difference between 75 and 216, for me...
Is it 216 or 270?
268, okay, sorry. But the difference there, to me, is a little bit less minuscule, it's a little more minuscule than the project itself needing that support to come in, help our sales taxes inside the project, and not affect property taxes, property taxes going forward if we can keep that formula going. And so that's kind of where I come from on that. That's why I felt the way I did. I respect Jerome's opinion, and I, if this were different, I probably wouldn't be supporting it either. But this is how this has to move forward to make it successful, and that's the reason I supported it at planning.
Land, can you get Kevin's new little toy there? And can you point out what y'all have already got leased up? And then can you talk
Sure.
about the other buildings and what you're pushing for, or what you're going after for those buildings? Oh, Kevin.
How do I go back? Oh, there we go.
Imperial Garden.
Oh, God.
There you go.
All right, thank you. I'll reuse one of these apparently. Okay. So moving from kind of east to west, this is City Barbecue. This is a drive-through coffee concept that's locally owned called Brew Y'all. We have about nearly 15 tenants either sign leases in here that are, or have LOIs in these 4 buildings. That's about 35,000 feet of retail and about 17,000 feet of office in these back 2 buildings back here. This building right here is number 13, is likely going to be Bank of the Ozarks. We have about 4 different tenants vying for this location right here, so we have not done anything yet. We haven't signed a contract or a lease here. This is Jonathan's. They're going to be closing the last Friday of the month. I believe they're really close to having a permit. This is Wawa. Just that one commercial tenant, their sales projections are $16 million annually. This would be Sprouts right here. We have not filled up these 2 buildings that are in the parking lot of Sprouts because we were waiting on this lease to get signed. So these are being marketed right now. Back here is where we are, on the back of the boulevard is where our mixed-use retail with residential above it is going to be. It's about 40,000 square feet of retail. This building, number 3, is residential. This building, number 6, is residential. These are...
What's E? Goes right there.
That's E is a park, one of the parks that was part of the back and forth with the staff when we tried to kind of increase density. They said, well, what are you going to give us? And it was more green space that we all talked about. So we increased it from basically a little over 1 acre that was originally proposed to 6. This E Park is part of that 6 acres. And then this is the amphitheater that was part of that. This is now a almost 3-acre amphitheater. So we basically gave up commercial space to move buildings that would be on the ground and put that density above these buildings right here. These are placeholders on the back of the property. They'll probably be some of the last things we do. They're both commercial. And then I think that's 20 and 21. Those are hotels. We've got 240 hotel keys, 120 in each building. And then this is a placeholder right here for, that we're trying to hold out for medical office space or office space. We've got the entitlements to go up to, 245,000 square feet of office. And so we're holding out, hoping that we can get a tenant for that building. If we were to get all 245,000 square feet in there, the TIF would go back up. So just an example of why the TIF document's sort of written the way it is, because it can kind of grow and it can, if there's basically a ceiling on the TIF, and it can shrink based on what's built and the tax increment that is increased by what's actually built.
Lynn, if you would real quick, just for those that didn't sit through planning.
Sure.
The roadway in front of here, talk about ingress, egress, and traffic flow and stacking and all that kind of thing, if you would.
Yeah, so we've got a permit with TDOT to commence work on Sam Ridley. There will be a right-in turn lane right after the CSX bridge and the intersection bridge. So it'll start roughly right in here and go all the way past the main entrance to the development and go all the way down to Motlow. So you can turn right into the development and then you can turn right out of the development. We're also adding full access traffic signalization right here that is coordinated with Motlow's light right here, and increasing this this turn lane in the median, which will start roughly right in here and go all the way down to the light. So if you're taking a left, it'll alleviate traffic as you turn left here at this light at Motlow. Pardon me?
A left out there?
Be a light.
Yeah, there'll be a light. It's the Motlow light that you're familiar with. So if,
Alan Stewart Way.
it's lighted. It's a full circulation light, yes. And again, coordinated with the Motlow light. So, and we're also including, we've also got sidewalks and a lot of infrastructure all along the front of the development, all the way back into Motlow. So anything back here can connect through. The members of the YMCA and the students can walk down sidewalks and enter. What we're going to have is a kind of a secondary boulevard here on the back, which will have park space and park benches and very thoughtfully designed access for pedestrian traffic. I was just going to say, in addition, working with the city staff, these buildings have been altered so that the sides and the back of them have basically like faux storefronts. The same thing will be true on this building right here, so that except for where deliveries are made, it'll almost look like a storefront on both sides, on all sides of the buildings.
Are the apartments 3 stories or 2?
These are 3 stories, and these two,
Okay.
the mixed-use ones are 3, and then the other 2 buildings are 4.
4?
Mm-hmm.
Then also the hotels. I know the hotels we have down on the other end of Sam Ridley has a lot of activity.
Yeah.
And are we going to have that? Man, I'm
You know,
talking about
we're distinctively kind of branding these a little bit differently.
maybe
than what-
security, I guess, is my biggest concern.
Yeah. Well, we'll have
I know the
full-time
chief
security
makes
on
a
the
lot of
site.
calls to that end of Sam Ridley for that purpose.
Yeah, we're hoping that we're doing it. We're going to do a higher-end product with these hotels and not that interstate product that you're talking about. And the project is part of the tenant's CAM charges will include full-time security on the site. So we'll have employed security all throughout this, in addition to having, residents living there 24 hours.
Other questions or comments?
We were talking about sales tax revenue. Dave, what was for our 2026 budget that we just approved? What was the total budget that we just approved?
63 million.
60 something, right?
60, right at 63.
Yeah.
Did not.
Yeah, that's all right. They got me the answer. 63 million. Later in our packet tonight, this happens to be the last month of the year. So we have the total sales tax, local sales tax and shared tax revenue for the last year, which is what we're talking about here. And it totals 30 million. So almost 50% of our budget is coming from developments like this.
Well, that's kind of the point, I guess,
Yeah.
I was trying to get to, but, listen, I know people are sick of apartments, I know it. But I do want to say something. I don't think because they live in one, that makes them any less appropriate to be there. If this was all residential rental homes, people might look at it differently. But also Motlow is sitting right behind there. You'll probably have some residents in some of these apartments that might want to attend Motlow as well. So I think it makes sense from especially the tax revenue, but the beautification, just the tree-lined streets, everything about this is classy. I know in planning, we were trying to come up with some places that might look the same. I brought up the Grand Boulevard over in Destin or Sandestin. If you've ever been in there, to me, it kind of feels similar to that. I haven't seen the finished product, but certainly looks a lot the same. And just behind all that shopping is a lot of residential and apartments. So even Destin figured that out. They got to know, they've got to feed. To have a successful development like this, you have to have foot traffic. You have to have it. Not always, but it sure helps to have people in there going to those banks and those restaurants, more than making it an evening out on a Friday or whatever. So I just don't want to classify apartment livers as somebody that are bad. They have to, there's so many people now that can't afford residential homes. They can't do it. It's sad. So I'm not saying we need more of them. That's not my point. But certainly don't want to disparage anybody that would want to choose here to live. That's my point about that, so.
Other questions or comments?
I mean, I know we beat this to death, had a lot of questions and all, but when I met with you, when I walked in, I was pretty much, there was no way because of that change. But one of the things, and I don't know that we've mentioned it tonight, but if my understanding is correctly, most of this, it's still going to be apartments, but most of this is going to be added to something that was already one story that's going to become something. So we're not taking any, basically any building area away from the ground. It's already buildings, it's already there that's going to be on top of that. Is that correct?
That is.
Okay.
Other comments or questions? Seeing none then, do I have a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve it.
A motion, do I have a second?
Second.
Motion and a second. Any other discussion?
I greatly respect everything that everybody has said tonight, and the simple fact that moving from townhomes to apartments is not a deal breaker as I see it. I mean, over the years, I've probably been the most negative person on apartments from the beginning. And many years ago, I swore I'd never vote for R6. I voted for R6 one of the very first council meetings I was ever on. And then voted for it one other time when I saw a need for it in front of the apartments in front of Nissan over there. And one of the things we talked about then was that the apartments would kickstart all of the area that had been lying fallow in front of Nissan for so many years. And that's one of the things that's happened. All the development has really begun over there. And that's not necessarily just because of those apartments, but those apartments help it. And what?
It's demographic.
It's demographic, exactly right. But then by the same token, there, we got the information from Kevin on all the apartments that we had and where they were and such as that, and how many had were built on property that was R6 before any of us were in this room. And, you know, there were 8 or 10, I think, that were in PRD phase or developments or were in R6. But the thing about that gets to each one of the ones where we changed the zoning on and allowed an apartment to go in had a very logical, and they came in as PRDs more than anything else, but they had a very logical reason to be that. I mean, whether it be senior living or what. But, you know, to come full circle, I see that it doesn't, I think it really enhances this development more than it deters it. And I definitely understand where Jerome's coming from. I mean, we've got problems with the transportation, we've got problems with the schools, but the thing about it is, these people are not gonna quit coming here. Now, maybe if we quit putting out a product which is creative and attractive, they might quit coming here. But sorry, land, that's not what you're doing here. This is a nice development. But, you know, I call the question, ma'am.
We have a motion and a second on the floor. Any other discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Aye.
Motion passes. We'll move on to item 3, which is consideration of a resolution authorizing the acquisition of easements by negotiation or condemnation for the purpose of carrying out the Imperial Boulevard Water Project. Kevin?
Yes, Mayor and Council, this is a recommendation from Planning Commission regarding the water line project along Imperial Boulevard. This is to obtain easements for the extension of a 16-inch water line along Imperial Boulevard to Rock Springs Road, which would extend from that existing 16-inch line at the north end of Imperial Boulevard and connect it to the 6-inch line at the intersection of Rock Springs Road and Imperial Boulevard. This is a part of the improvements being made to increase fire flow in the older part of town. I did include a map in your packet that shows where those easements will be acquired, as well as a spreadsheet that did show the property ownership and the amount of each easement to be acquired. The Planning Commission did review this, the obtaining of these easements, and did find it consistent with the comprehensive plan of the town and did recommend approval. Staff would also recommend approval.
Steve or Mark, anything to add?
No, it's pretty straightforward. The biggest thing is the improvement of water flow to the downtown area, which is really the driving. Kevin, one question I didn't ask before, I didn't think about until I was looking at this. The 12-inch line that's up at the north that we're connecting to, that already runs under the railroad track. Is that correct?
I believe that's the case,
Yeah, so there's no disruption to.
I think that was taken care of as part of the Lowry Street, the improvements on Lowry Street.
That's what I was thinking, because the red line obviously stops there. So I was
Yeah.
thinking it must already be there.
I've got a couple questions. One, there, on those, me and Teresa deliver Meals on Wheels, and we drive Imperial Boulevard every Monday. The trees, the clear cutting they're doing on those tracks, is that part of this easement acquisition? Or is that something the developers, property owners doing?
I don't think the construction started on this, yeah.
There's silt fencing.
Along Imperial Boulevard?
Yep. Right along where you've got 111.
Well, there wasn't approved, that property does have a commercial zoning. There was a site plan
The
approved.
site plan come through.
There was a site plan, it's been some time ago, but there was site plan approved
Okay.
for so like an
So that's
office
part of
warehouse
that
type
site
development. Yeah, there's a site.
And
yeah.
then, 2, we've got Imperial Boulevard to be paved. Are we going to do the water line before the paving?
Well, I want to make sure we coordinate that, obviously, so that we do the water line before the paving.
I asked about that in planning, and the water line is not in the street. The water
Okay.
line is beside the street, but I asked about that specifically. If we're digging up the street to put the water line in, let's pave it at the same time, but it is beside the street.
Yeah.
Even still, I mean, this is a road identified as
Yeah.
needing milling and resurfacing, but probably best, just because of
Right.
what traffic could occur.
Right.
We'll
Yeah,
wait
sure.
until that gets done.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I did ask that in planning too.
You'll
Same
get
question.
the equipment on that new pavement.
That
if you-
Imperial Road, and you've been back there, so you know, I also go back there to visit a friend that the road's pretty rough shape.
Yeah, yeah. Just concerned about the equipment getting on new pavement. That's all.
Other questions or comments?
This line here will tie into the new line on Front Street also, correct?
I think it's all part of that project, right? Eventually, it would all connect together, and, yeah, they jumped ahead with the Front Street project because of the other project that we were doing down there.
Other questions? Seeing none, do we have a motion?
Motion to approve.
Motion, do we have a second?
Second.
Motion is second, any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any, any opposed? Motion passes. Item 4 is consideration of a resolution regarding the disposition of a portion of public right-of-way for Milesdale Lane to the Homeowners Association of the Preserve at Stewart's Creek.
Yeah, the town has received a request regarding the existing unimproved public right-of-way of Milesdale Lane east of High Echelon Circle. The request is from the HOA, the Preserve at Stewart Creek neighborhood. The request is for the town to quitclaim this right-of-way so it can become a part of the common area of the neighborhood. This right-of-way was dedicated as a part of the development of the neighborhood, but was not improved. That was a part of the PRD approval. It was done to allow for the neighborhood to be connected in the future if needed, but was not required due to concerns from adjoining neighborhood regarding cut-through traffic. The HOA wishes to obtain ownership of the property for use as an amenity space. Consolidated Utility District does have a water line within that right-of-way and will require a 30-foot easement be dedicated for that water line. I did include the recorded plat and a legal description that was done as a part of this potential disposition of the property. The Planning Commission did review this and did find it consistent with the comprehensive plan. The town did recommend approval to the town council. Staff would also recommend approval.
Questions for Kevin or Mark or Steve, anything you want to add?
There wasn't a lot of discussion with this. The biggest conversation was obviously Milesdale Lane connecting and with the tree line there, and you know, we didn't include it in the PRD initially, mostly because of the opposition of the neighbors.
All the way down through Arlington.
Yeah, so.
It was gonna be a cut through to the school,
Yeah,
and that was the fear.
yeah, so,
Is Milesdale and Sutton Hill in the city?
No.
No.
pretty much with us abandoning the plan of connecting it, doesn't really make sense for the town to maintain it. It also gives, I would suspect, the homeowners some sort of comfort and peace, because now they would have ownership of that property.
Hey, might be setting a precedent here.
You might have one on your.
You got your eye on You got your eye on one.
Other questions or comments? Then do we have a motion?
I'll move to approve.
Motion, do we have a second?
Second.
Motion is second, any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Item B, under new business, is consideration of a resolution to join the state of Tennessee and other local governments in amending the Tennessee State Subdivision Opioid Abatement Agreement and approving the related settlement agreements. Jeff?
Yes, Mayor and Council, this resolution would be the first step in including the town of Smyrna in the amending the Tennessee plan for opiate litigation. This will now include a settlement with Purdue and the Sackler family, which will bring the Sackler family back in later. But for Purdue, which is also in bankruptcy right now, once the settlement funds are known, the exact amount that the trustee will provide, then I will report that to you. But this just gets us in the door to receive those funds.
Questions for Jeff? Seeing none, do I have a motion?
Motion to approve.
A motion, do we have a second?
Second.
Motion is second, any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Item C is consideration of a resolution for the fiscal year 2025 Community Development Block Grant Entitlement Grant. Community Development Block Entitlement Grant. Hey Dennis, how are you?
All right, I have trouble saying that too. That's okay. Yeah, so it's exciting. This is our first year having a CDBG grant, our entitlement grant. So from now on, every year, as long as we qualify, we're going to be entitled to a certain amount. This first year, we have $412,974 to be able to allocate. Because of such a short timeline, we decided to go with a shovel-ready project. So that's the renovate Hilltop Rosenwald Park. Around $390,000 is allocated for that estimated, and the rest of it, around $23,000 is allocated to go to CDBG administration, which essentially just subsidizes the grant coordinator's salary. So the federal government will be paying some of the salary instead of Smyrna residents as well.
Questions for Dennis?
Is it a requirement to work for the city that you speak softly?
Sorry? You know, I'm actively trying to enunciate more. I'm gonna start speaking to a wall.
Trained by Kevin, you know.
Hey, Kevin said that we're going, at least they're not talking about me.
But I think we are.
Question?
Dennis, we're glad that you came on board, and
Absolutely.
bringing us things like this is really encouraging to see the
Yeah.
beginning. And keep working with Mike and get some more parks grants. I like those.
That's right.
Yeah, they're easy.
Okay, do we have a motion?
So move.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Motion is second. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Thanks, Dennis. Anything under other tonight? Okay. Then status reports. Sierra.
Casey, sorry I stole a little of your thunder earlier.
Okay. Good evening, Mayor and Council. So our June sales tax numbers are in. Should have slides. Yes, okay. So for state share tax for June, we got $783,000, which brings our total to $9 million. 3% lower than what we budgeted, but still within our normal range of estimates. For local sales tax, our June payment was $1.7 million, which brings our total to $21 million. As anticipated, we came in $1 million under budget, but as a whole, we feel good about the FY26 budgeted amounts. We're a lot more conservative. And as for FY25, the audit is still ongoing. We're still making entries, but I feel comfortable at this point saying that we're looking at about a $3 million surplus at the end of the year. So some revenues that helped offset this include business licenses, various planning and codes, fees and permits, excise tax, and delinquent property tax. The largest contributing factor as to how we overcome this deficit was delayed capital projects scheduled to be paid by the general fund.
Okay. Any questions for Sierra?
Can we hold her to that number?
Yeah. I hesitated to say it, but I feel good about it. So.
Okay. Thank you, ma'am.
Thanks, Sierra.
Any correspondence or announcements? Any directors or department heads out there have anything that you need to share?
Charleston is going to tell us about Front Street. Uh-oh, he sent somebody else.
We are so glad that usually we only get Mark Parker.
Yeah.
Last too long.
James, they're usually, so did you cause it to be 2.5 hours? Because they're usually not this long.
I don't know. Maybe.
Not you?
First time.
First
Yeah.
time. So maybe you're saying that you shouldn't have to come back then. Is that what you're saying?
I'm not saying that, but I'm just saying
You'd be all right with it, though, wouldn't you?
Yeah, I'll be okay with it. I'll be okay.
James,
with
tell us what you got.
it. Okay. For the wastewater treatment plant, I have a emergency purchase from Andritz. On the amount is $21,901.99 for the repair of the centrifuge and the dewatering at the wastewater treatment plant.
And now you just need to make an announcement. We don't need to vote.
Okay.
Correct? Yes. Okay.
and have a potential emergency purchase from Andrins at the amount of $52,200 upfront, and then $24,700 per month. This is to continue operating dewatering centrifuge during the time that it is being repaired. This has been signed by Mr. Santucci, the agreement to be placed on hold for this mobile centrifuge. No charge will be credited to the town unless it's used. Okay?
Questions for James?
Thank you, Jay.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Okay. Any correspondence? Y'all said y'all had none from the, I'm telling y'all are looking tired out there. I reached over to HG and I said, look, they're all sleepy out there.
She called you zombies.
No, he called zombies. I just said they look
no.
sleepy. Amber,
Wait, no,
anything?
you're gonna let Charles Neal get away without telling us about Front Street.
Oh, Charles, HG's wanting to hear about Front Street.
Funny, I asked him about that before the meeting, so I'm already informed.
You could have taken his place.
Okay. Currently, like I said, utilities is still working on the water lines and the service lines, so until they get finished, we are on hold. The Washington Street project will be paved probably the second week of September, once we get our CX6 flagman, but that's just the Washington Street section. And then Mr. Rose, Public Works has a project coming in that will resurface the entire street after everything's completed.
You said Washington Street, does that include the roundabout?
Yes, just a roundabout area. Just Washington Street straight through their roundabout area. We'll mill and repave that section.
But the rest of it's gonna be milled and repaved also. How far down will it go?
I think it goes all the way down, Tom, you on College Street, right. Because mine is part of the TDOT project where the other is the town
College to
project.
where though? How far
Division to
down Front
College.
Street?
Yeah, Division to College.
Division?
Yeah, Division up at Furniture Store all the way down
Front's
to,
pretty rough, all the way down to the bridge and
well, that right now we're just waiting for the rest of the utility water line connections because they do have more water line connections coming through. So we do coordinate with utilities on our projects and resurfacing. So we are waiting for them to finish because like I said, they got another project coming up on the backside.
thank you, sir.
So, okay.
Amber?
Everybody run off of their new agenda today?
Yes. I do like it.
I'll get with you.
I like the instructions,
Okay.
if I can't understand it all. Okay.
All right. Well, good. Nobody had any major issues, so.
Nope.
All right.
Great. Dave?
Yeah, I just want to just let the council know that we've been priority ranked for funding of an SRF loan. It's the Mason Tucker Booster Station project. It's one of our largest, if not the largest, booster station that we have. And that's going to be a $6 million loan that we would be eligible for. It hasn't been approved yet. We have to submit paperwork and then we'll find out from there. But that is very good news. Also, just want to recognize our newest firefighters. We held a pinning ceremony last week over at the event center. Very, very well attended by family and other residents. And I want to recognize Corey Brinkley. He was the valedictorian, I think that's what they call him, of the class, as well as Bryce Hargrove, Alex Martin, Alfred Martinez, McCade Miller, Cannon Morse, Caden Phillips, and Hunter Rettenor, who were all pinned that day. Also, just want to just quickly say, it's not on the slide, but you can leave it where it's at, the retirement of engineer Mike Hogger. He retired last week. They had a nice ceremony for him and wish him the best in his future endeavors. Also want to recognize our water plant, who was, we were proud to announce that they have been honored as with the American Water Works Association Plant of the Year in the medium plant category. Having just been there, I think at the last meeting, we talked about us as a leadership team going over there and checking out the plant and getting a tour. There's no surprise there as these two gentlemen Kevin Relford and Robbie Land do an excellent job over there with the rest of their staff. That's all I have.
Jeffrey L.,
Nothing for me.
Jerome?
I'd like to ditto what Dave says about the water plant. The AWWA award is a big deal, and that just goes to show what those guys are doing out there and making sure we have safe, clean water. Before I make my public announcement, Mayor, I was wondering, how can we go about, putting an agenda item on our work session to discuss, our density, the land use plan, our internal growth boundary that we've discussed, the water and sewer capacity studies. I know they're still going on, but at some point we need to have a work session on that.
Any council member can ask for an agenda item to be
Okay.
put on the agenda. The only thing I would recommend is, if it's something that you think is going to take more than what a workshop
Right.
would do, but I'm pretty sure all the things that you're talking about are things that staff is working on, that we were talking about bringing back when we have a joint planning commission and council meeting. Are they not?
If that's the way the timing will work, this may be something that requires its own discussion time, because even just based off the joint session that we had, that agenda that you all came up with is probably going to fill up that time frame.
Right.
And again, the goal is that we have that, and really what it's meant to do is to provide some kind of, look at the service boundary that we have, capacity, and basically work that around the plan of services, right, that you all get when we do these, we bring forth these annexation requests to you. So our goal is to have that done by the end of this year. And maybe that's a great time to kind of look at that data and come back together
But
and.
the plan is to do a joint meeting between us and planning when we have that
We
information.
We can certainly do
Yes.
that, yeah. Mhm.
Okay.
Yeah,
Does that
because it would
work?
impact both, of course, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. And I think also the internal growth boundary, the plan of services, and the water and sewer capacities. And also, we were going to discuss the, having a senior moment here. What were we? I'll think of it. But
What were you talking about in regards to, what specifically in regards to plan of services? Just in regards to
we
capacity?
talked, yeah, well, taking in the roads, fire and police, and we talked about that internal boundary that we were going to look at.
What's that word you're saying?
Internal,
Internal boundary.
Internal.
Okay.
Rather than
Right.
from the outside in.
rather than using the urban growth boundary,
Right.
looking at the capacity
Oh, the
boundary.
impact fees. We also discussed looking at those and seeing how, what's our financial analysis of the big developments? What are we getting in impact fees, and what's it costing us for the plan of services?
And Kevin, with the impact fee, I thought we were looking at that study and whether we were gonna, had you budgeted for that?
That is in the budget, yes,
Okay.
to do our
normal.
5-year study.
I think
Go
all
ahead,
these
Now.
need to, like you said, coincide, whether it's, at the end of the year, first of next year. Yeah.
It just needs to be whenever y'all finish getting those figures together for us.
Right. Again, we're hoping to have that. We need to have that done by the end of this year. I don't know if the impact fee study, which will be done by an outside consultant, I believe.
That probably wasn't done by the end of this year, but certainly during this fiscal year, it could be done most likely.
But I don't see necessarily the impact fee study in those results. I don't see how that would, for lack of a better word, impact the information that comes out of the plan of services work that we're doing.
Well, if we set that boundary, the further out we get, the bigger it is to take in roads and provide those services. What's the state revolving loan interest rate now?
I don't know the answer to that question yet. We've got to apply for it. We've got to
Right.
get approved, so I think at that point, right now, my understanding, it's around 3%, which
Okay.
for a state revolving loan is actually pretty high.
Yeah, I think for the plant, yeah, it was just
1%, yeah.
insane.
It was.
Yeah,
And we have, when Harry came on board, somebody asked about state revolving fund, and I'll be honest, I had no clue. That was right after I'd become mayor. I had no clue what it was, and we started going after it, and we've been very blessed with what we've gotten through state revolving fund, so.
So I do have an announcement. Friday, September the 12th at 7:30, the 6th anniversary race of the Top Gun Night Run, the Captain Cush Memorial Run. It will be at Lee Victory Recreation Park, again, September 12th at 7:30 p.m. We can register online. Runners and spectators alike can enjoy live music, food, and a vibrant community atmosphere in the park. Participation is limited to 650 runners, so don't wait. Sign up today at runsignup.com/race/register. Just go to the website, town's website, and they can find it. Also, we're having the Wings of Freedom Fish Fry, which is September 13th at the Azure Aviation next to the airport terminal, and it is going to be 5 to 9. All the food you can eat, music, classic car cruise in, and that's their annual fundraiser. Thank you.
Great. HG, I know you grabbed Raquel's.
Go ahead, doesn't matter. I'll do it.
So we're, there you go.
Yeah, I hope everything's okay with Raquel. But she went to Sundresses and Stogies fundraiser. And it was congratulations to the Omega Psi-Phi fraternity, Pi Gamma chapter on hosting a highly successful fundraiser this past Saturday at the Hollingshead Aviation Hangar with more than 1,300 attendees. Among the distinguished local members in attendance were Derek Blake, Executive Director of the Smyrna YMCA, and Sean Lee, former board member of the Smyrna Housing Authority. Is Sean not still a member? I mean,
No, he's the director.
he's the director
He's
of the Smyrna
director,
Housing
yeah.
Authority, yeah. I mean, he really is a distinguished member. He's also, both of these guys are also Rotarians, which, Jerome was talking about the Rotary Automobile Show. There's also an automobile show on Friday night, classic car show at Depot Days on the 26th of September, followed on Saturday by Depot Days. You can get information on that event at simatn.org. And I would pass along to each of you to love where you live. And most of you must love Smyrna a little bit. You turn out here for almost 3 hours tonight, and haven't we had fun? But pick your trash up, shop local, and be kind. And that's a wrap for me.
Jerry?
Yeah, we had a great time connecting with the community at last week's National Night Out, hosted by the Smyrna Police Department. It was fun, interactive evening filled with department tours, friendly faces, giveaways, and plenty of the family-friendly fun. Thank you to everyone who came out to support and engage with our officers and staff. Had a great time. They really did a nice job as far as setting things up, the giveaways, they had a little
Scavenger hunt.
scavenger hunt, thank you. And so they just, we appreciate all that our police department does, and then those that kind of help as well, volunteers and all. So thank you, Chief, for all that you guys did. And the only thing I've got is I've got a grandbaby that's it's going to be 1 year old on Saturday. So happy birthday to Lily.
It's hard to believe a year.
Already a year, that's right.
Steve?
All right, I've got my slide as well. The 23rd Annual Wings of Freedom Fish Fry, which I thought we already talked about. Yeah. So the only thing I'm going to add to, I guess, what Jerome has already said is I think he's already said Saturday and the location and the car show. And did you mention tickets wofsmyrna.com. So I think that's where you go to get tickets. I'm not going to repeat everything else. I think we're good. I've got 2 personal items. My daughter is still on baby watch. Her due date was today. We're still waiting on that moment. The doctor says everything's going well and no concerns or no reason to induce at this point, so we're just going to keep waiting. Also, over the weekend, my grandson Kendrick had his tonsils out on Friday, and after about 5 or 6 hours of surgery, had some complications, and he actually stopped breathing a couple of times. We ended up emergency transferring him to Vanderbilt. He spent the weekend at Vanderbilt. He is home and seems to be on the road to recovery now. It was pretty scary for all of us. He stopped breathing, turned blue, the whole thing. And fortunately, once he lost consciousness, his body's involuntary process picked up and he started breathing again. So we're glad that he's home and doing well. A little sore from his throat, but I had breakfast with him at Chick-fil-A this morning, and he's definitely on his way to recovery. So glad that he's okay, and thank you guys for support and prayers. And so,
Mark.
I have a slide as well. Thank you to everyone who joined the Smyrna Parks Recreation this past Saturday down at the depot for barbecue, live music, and family fun. The food was delicious. I can tell you, I stopped at Shipdog, Jeff Shipley's barbecue stand.
They pulled you over there.
Well, you know what? He should have, and I'm glad he did because the ribs were awesome. They were great. So I don't know if he's watching, but thank you for doing that.
The story behind that, Mark, is that I stopped in there and bought my ribs there, and he had me vote for him, and I said, well, votes work both ways. And he said, yeah, but Mark Atkins is over there. I said, you better go get him.
I had no food at that point, believe me. I was trying to figure it out. There was a high traffic of food trucks and stuff, so I'm glad he caught me. Thank you to Smyrna Parks and Rec for doing this and organizing this. We do extend our appreciation to the fire department as well, the police department, all their continued support keeping the event safe. Kind of off the subject of being grateful for people, I do want to point out that Casey and Amber are in the room. So I want to say to both of them, you guys don't realize how much you keep us held together. All this new software and everything, you guys spend a lot of time getting us trained up and that kind of thing. So every day, your day-to-day activity has something to do with keeping us informed or getting us our invitations to these events and all this kind of stuff. So to you two, thank you. I do want to say, I don't know what happened here for Raquel's family, but we send our prayers out to her, make sure everything's okay. And last, this is kind of on a side note of the city thing, but September 6th, if you graduated from Smyrna High School like I did 50 years ago, September 6th will be our 50th reunion for the Smyrna High School Bulldogs. So if you would like more information on it, I do have an email address to the town. Send it to me and I'll respond. That's all I have.
I do have one slide tonight. We attended the opening of the United States Property and Fiscal Office Warehouse in Smyrna. It is the new warehouse that's out on the base. And it was a 91,000 square foot warehouse. It replaces the previous 53,000 square foot warehouse that was in Nashville that was built in 1973. I will tell you, it is state of the art. And General Ross was there to cut the ribbon, and we were excited to be part of that. So thank you to them. Todd, myself, and Charles Neal attended a meeting today about the choice lanes, and I just made a couple of quick notes at the meeting. Remember, it's 26 miles of new optional choice lanes. There'll be the 4 general purpose lanes and 2 choice lanes going in each direction. The private partner will design, build, finance, operate, and maintain those choice lanes for 50 years. The commercial close of when they choose that partner will be in third quarter of 2026. One thing that is super exciting is that we talked about it was going to be in 2 phases, with phase 2 being right after Sam Ridley. That is no longer the case. It is all one project now. So it will go all the way to just before you get to 840. So that's something that we're really excited about. That means Sam Ridley and Amival Road will be included in the Phase 1. There will be public meetings that will be taking place probably early next year, and whenever those do happen, we will make sure to get that information out. So, council, anything else tonight?
Yes, Mayor, you mentioned that one phase. Now, is that going to impact Amival Road interchange?
We do not know what their intentions are. If they, what our hopes are is that whoever gets the bid will do the improvements to Amival Road. If not, it has been approved through the 10-year plan with TDOT.
Okay.
But then we've got to then pony up the up to $10 million. But they have asked that at the end, that once the group is decided, we will start having individual meetings with them to talk about what we want to see at each one of our interchanges.
Yeah, Sam Ridley, then at one point, they were going to stop at Rock Springs Overpass.
Correct.
And take it all the way to Nashville.
And now that's all.
Does it go all the way to Murfreesboro now?
It does, just to
Okay.
840, where it was originally
Okay,
planned, just
all right.
right before 840. So, okay, anything else? No? Okay, then we're adjourned.